2, 1. All right. I'm shit at intros. Luna, do the intro.
What?
I said I'm shit at intros. Luna, do the intro.
Uh, yeah, what makes you think I'm good at them? So what's up? What's up, everybody? This is. I don't know if when this video comes out, if this channel will already have the name we plan to give it.
Yeah, we'll
But
set it up that way.
welcome, anyways. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. Uh, this is just a bunch of weirdos discussing hot persona takes, I guess. We might get we might agree on a few, we might argue a lot on a few others. We'll see how it goes, and we decided that we're gonna split this into 3 different videos. We're doing 5 4 3.
Mostly because we'd
uh,
like to sleep and rest our voices.
Ooh, I like
and
sleeping.
I'm sure you do. And we don't know 1 and 2. I think I don't know if you guys know
No, haven't
anything
played it.
about Persona
I
One
mean,
and Two.
I mean to. If they remake it, I'll play it. If they remake them, I will play them. Till then, I'm not playing them.
Yeah. Well, either way, those games don't exist anyway. So, so more importantly,
Remember, Persona
do you
2.
guys?
Persona 2 is fake. It was made up by Hitler.
Yes. Actually, before I told you guys, I guess you already passed it on to me. I'm Lou. I also have a main channel called Castelia Zone,
It'll be linked in the
where I
description.
post where I post whatever the fuck I want. Really, there is no teaming, there is nothing, just whatever.
Alright,
You should subscribe immediately
I'm
and make me
Rosa. I
rich.
run
Now,
things around here. Stop talking. I'm Rosa. I mostly run things around here because I'm the one with all the time on their hands. Melons mostly.
Melons.
You can introduce yourself now, as I don't do long intros.
Hello.
That's Isa. They're also here. They have professionally bad opinions, and that's their entire joke.
Wow, it's not a joke. It's all serious.
No, but the joke about you is that you have bad opinions. That's all you're really good for. You you're basically in these videos for us to be able to have discussions because me and Lou agree about a lot of things.
uh,
There's a reason why they call me
I
the high
don't know
school
about
bully of
a
the group.
lot.
Alright. Well, in every video we've ever done, we've agreed on most things. So, shut up.
I suppose.
Alright,
Anyways,
enough fucking wasting time. S tier through E tier, nothing complicated. Let's start.
yeah.
So, I hate ranking silent protagonists because it's like, how much of it is me, and like how much of it is me making shit up, and how much of it is the actual character. But like, I think ranking Ren is worth it because he does have a character if you squint.
I mean, you get his character through like the options you're given.
To some extent, but like,
Yeah.
especially in Strikers, they kind of mastered the art of kind of making. It's sort of frustrating in a way because Strikers, especially, you sort of feel like a conversation is happening and you're just not hearing it, as opposed to in P5 where it feels like the dialogue was written as if you're not talking.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
I mean, to be honest, by default, I just rank like every protagonist. Like I just at least this kind of protagonist, a C or a B. Like nothing.
yeah, I'm gonna add an F tier just so there is a middle tier because right now there's not a middle tier and that bothers me.
F tier.
I'm gonna.
But I was going to say put him in the middle tier because like he's both not a character and is also the main character. So like it feels like he should
Yeah.
be ranked. Like when I last did this tier list like 4 years ago, I didn't even rank him. Like I just
Yeah.
kept him off the list. But like I think C tier right in the middle. Because like I said, when you play strikers especially, there's a lot of personality sort of under the skin. Like go watch some of those opening bits with when it's just you, Ryuji, and Sophia, and it's he's such a little shit. I hate silent
So
protagonists. I think it's a terrible trope. Like
to be honest, to be honest, I'm literally just gonna over here doing as well. I'm just gonna make a tier between C and D, call it Ligma, and put in there.
Well, I guess. Right, Ryuji.
Yeah,
I love Ryuji. Like Ryuji, I love him
he's
so
cool.
much. Like people kind of like to shit on him. Well, not really. He's quite popular over in the English speaking fandom, but the Japanese speaking fandom hates him, which is why he's so put upon.
Hmm.
Like it's why he's
Uh,
sort of treated like shit in the game itself. But like he's just fun. Like he doesn't really have much going on, but that kind of works. Like everyone in the group is kind of going through a massive crisis at some point or another, and he's just kind of there being a bro.
He went
uh, uh,
some stuff with his track team.
Yeah, he goes through some stuff there, but even then, it's less about him developing and more about helping them develop.
Most of the shit he goes through is just the game.
Yeah, like almost everything he goes through is the events of the game. Whereas, like, everyone else, like, Yusuke's got his issues with, like, his artist block, and Makoto's got her interesting cocktail of shit that is her relationship with her sister. Haru's entire life is a shit show. Um, and, like, Morgana's got his pathetic little insecurity complex. And then Ryuji's just kind of there. But, like, that works to his bonus, because you can kind of always... He works the best for scenes, you know? You can just have him say a thing.
He's the best. He's really good as like a first character.
Yeah.
yeah,
And, like...
There's
I,
not too much baggage with him.
We should let Luna
I,
speak.
I, oh no, I just tend to. Uh, I never tend to love the secondary male protagonist like Yosuke, Junpei, and Ryuji. I never loved those characters,
Honestly,
but
hot
I
take.
definitely.
No, hot take for a second. Honestly, hot take. Junpei's not the Ryuji and Yosuke character for 3. Yukari is.
Uh, uh, I don't know about that. Like, either way, I never tend to like the secondary male character
Yeah,
a lot, but I think Ryuji is definitely the most likable between them. Not that I dislike Yosuke or Junpei. They can be funny, mostly when they are the punching bag, I guess.
yeah,
And Junpei has the all the beat with the story. Yosuke does too, of course. But yeah, overall, I think Ryuji is just a
yeah,
more cool dude. Yeah,
yeah. I do think a fair
he's a solid.
criticism. I do think a fair criticism I have for both Ryuji and Arn is that they start out the game much more serious. Like it's partially because the
Mm,
arc focuses
yeah,
on them, but like basically after the
yeah,
first arc, they're used for nothing but comedic relief. This sort of changes for Ryuji and
yeah,
Strikers, where he gets a lot more to do. Um,
yeah.
But while it feels natural for Ryuji to slip into comedic relief, it feels a lot weirder with Arn, where she seems to become a completely different character after the Kamoshida arc, and I'm not fond of it. But that's part of her section. For now, we're talking about Ryuji. And if you ask me, Ryuji is like S tier. Like he's one of the characters I love being around the most.
I love Ryuji, so
Uh,
I'd say I'm happy with S as well for sure.
I mean, for me, it's a B. But like,
A B,
if you
wow, that's harsh.
B,
Yeah, you said
I
B.
said B.
That's harsh.
Yeah,
Like
B.
Jesus.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Like
Is Lou taking my role?
Lou's gonna take the role of terrible opinion. Oh my god. When I add an intro to this, I'm gonna make like a Danganronpa style like intro for everyone. Like maybe Lou will have to be the professional bad opinion haver. Anyway, we're putting Ryuji in S tier because you got outvoted. It's supposed to be
I've evolved. I'm cool now.
you. We have to talk about Morgana now.
Uh,
I don't like Morgana.
Time to put that F tier to use.
I mean, he's uh, like he's not like terrible. He's not amazing or anything. He's kind of there. He has his moments. He
There are
sometimes
a
can be
few
annoying,
moments. The
especially the
central,
whole thing with
yeah,
his, that one chapter. But
yeah.
eh,
My issue with
You
Morgana
know.
is just how much he imposes on the game itself. Like, people say Morgana and Teddy are Morgana and Teddy are compared a lot, but I think the reason I'm kinder to Teddy than Morgana is because you're apart from Teddy. There are parts of the game he is not in. The only
I
part of the
suppose.
game Morgana is not in is almost entirely about how much he's amazing and we love him and we miss him. Like,
Mm.
you want to know why people think Ren has less personality than the other two protagonists? It's because he doesn't get an internal monologue.
Mhm.
Like, even simple shit, like interacting with a fucking plant. You don't get your thoughts on that. All you get is his thoughts. I don't want to hear your thoughts,
Mm.
bitch. Like, I get that he lives with you, because, like, where else would he live? It's not like with Teddy, where he's, like, either in the TV world or a human and living with Yosuke. Like, I get that. But it's just, you're never apart from him. And I don't find him funny.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, with comedy characters, you have to find them funny. Like, you see this with people's opinions on Futaba. You either find her funny or you don't. And I personally find her funny, but we'll get there. But like with Morgana, it's even more because he has almost no role in the story behind, except for like being annoying and trying to be funny.
I don't. I don't find him annoying most of the time, although I don't find him that funny either. To me, legitimately, I could put him right beside the MC, and like not better than I like between C and D, like just
I mean, I suppose.
no
I mean, he's
feelings. Like
not F tier. To say he's F tier would be me projecting. Like, but he's
yeah,
definitely
no,
D or E tier for me. And I think
I have no strong feelings.
yeah, I think the central thing for that there is like I used to be on Tumblr, and when I was on Tumblr, I replayed through P5 just for fun, and there's a whole section of my Tumblr that is just me just really pissed off during that whole arc. It's just like the game just grinds to a halt, and it's just like this always happens. Like don't get me wrong, I played Royal, so like I don't have as much of an attachment to the whole go to sleep joke as most people do because that's really mitigated in Royal. But like
Mm.
Oh god, it's such a pain.
it's just a constant way that this fucking cat just like I signed up to play as me, okay, not as him. It's just he
Yeah.
dictates everything. Like, bitch,
Mm.
fuck off. Also, his voice is annoying, and that's the thing. Whenever you click on anything, even if it's not a voiced line, you still hear like a little, like a start of conversation, like one-liner, like the whole. Even if it's just him
Yeah.
fucking meowing, and his voice is so annoying, and because again he's omnipresent in the game, like he's in almost all of it. You constantly like if you accidentally click on the wrong part of the door, you hear him go, and I just fucking hate it. So like for me, he's like E tier. Like I just don't like him.
I'm
Fair enough.
happy with E, very happy with E.
Yeah, I'll put
Also,
him
his
at D
crush on
then.
Arn is weird, not funny, and is never like called out for as weird as it fucking is. Even if he were a human, it would still be fucking weird.
Yeah,
I
it's a
guess.
bit weird.
But yeah, so
Well,
we'll talk about Arn now. Speaking of, but
yeah.
I mean, I like Arn. She's like I said, she sort
Yeah.
of suffers from being massively sidelined to become a comedic relief character after after her arc is done. Um,
Yeah.
and also her confidant is middling. Like, we didn't really talk about Ryuji's
Mm.
confidant, and obviously Morgana doesn't really have a confidant to talk about. I mean, he does, but he doesn't.
I
But
mean,
like,
yeah, that's kind of
Arn,
the
Arn's
kind
confidant
of, the kind
really.
of thing that's kind of the kind of thing that doesn't make me confident in him being S tier. But moving on.
Well, I mean, we did talk about Ryuji's confidant. We were like, yeah, it's fine. But the thing with, I think this is kind of a general thing with Arn's character. She suffers a lot from the fact that Shiho is barely in the game. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like they were given a mandate that Shiho couldn't be in more than 20 scenes. Because, like, her confidant starts being about her and then just stops being about her to be about her pissy rivalry with some asshole. And then ends.
Yeah.
Like, the final two
I
levels of
mean,
her confidant are about Shiho as well. But, like, seriously, it's like it just pauses in the middle to be about some twat for 6 levels and then just fucking ends. Like, Arn does succeed for
I
being one of the characters that's around from the beginning, so she gets more scenes. but it just feels
Hmm.
like the
Yeah.
writers don't take her seriously. Like it
I
feels
don't
like they
know.
almost resent her inclusion.
I it's weird.
I
Like
wouldn't. I wouldn't say it's resentment. It's just disconnected in some areas. It's like there's like multiple writers for or something,
Hmm.
all with
Yeah.
different ideas.
But to me, I just wouldn't feel much differently about her than I feel about Ryuji. Like they're both just they're both nice. They both get to shine really early on, and you're like invested in their characters. But for most of the game, they're kind of just there. They have their moments here and there. Like they're cool. Just nothing mind blowing or anything. Like they're alright.
Yeah. I do think one thing that I noticed about Arn is it feels like her character was designed before her actual story was. Like her whole story in the first arc really kind of rubs
Yeah.
up against her whole design, like her literal design. Like
Mm.
it's been said before, it's a bit weird that a character whose entire backstory is that they're basically a sexual assault victim and their entire character is looks sexy. Like
Yeah,
Well,
but that
people
didn't.
try and argue it's about like reclamation and blah 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 blah, but the thing is that's never stated in the story. Her
I
motivations
don't know.
her
That sort
motivations
of
are
thing is
supposedly like about these villains she watched on telly as a child, but I just think it's a bit one that's not really expanded on much, and two, I think that's a bit tone deaf either way. Like you make an entire arc about how much it weighs on her, the fact that she's relentlessly over sexualized by everyone around her because of the fact that she was, that she's partially like her parents were from a different country, or one of her parents was from a different country, and like
Yeah.
it it's a central part of her in that first chapter is like just how much it causes
Yeah.
issues for her, and then after that it's just now she's the sexy one.
Yeah, but Danganronpa. Basically, like that's all I can say.
I mean,
It's literally the same thing.
yeah, no, but like
Just
it's a bit silly
get
to
the
go, oh, it's got bad writing, but it's this series, so whatever. Like I don't agree with just saying that. Like I'm gonna
yeah,
call it
that's
out.
kind of a stupid reason.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's nothing new here. Just
No,
another
but
one.
the whole point of this is just to call it out, and I just think there's a lot more to Arn's character. Like I said, the writers seem disinterested in capitalizing on it. Like, for
Yeah.
example, like the fact that Arn has no thoughts on like Haru's fiance and that whole situation. Like that feels like a bit where she should have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But nope,
Although
no
to be
thoughts, no
fair, I
content.
don't think they. Although to be fair, I don't think they were thinking deeply about the entire part of the storyline to begin with.
Yeah, I mean,
So
like
you know.
it would be more of a mitigated issue if there wasn't a scene where the entire cast literally meets him, and he acts like crazy on screen, even outside of the
Yeah.
palace, like the bit where they're in the alleyway. And it's just like I
Yeah.
don't know, it's all got a lot of. Again, it feels like the game was written around her out of some resentment, where she doesn't really get to be relevant to the plot again. Like even Ryuji gets to be relevant in later chapters, but like it feels like they wrote the first chapter and then decided, okay, Arn has a legal mandation to not be relevant ever again. Even though I
Yeah.
like her, like
Yeah.
she's fun to have around, but there's just wasted potential.
I do think she's still really good despite the wasted
Yeah, for
potential.
me, she's like a B tier, but I could be persuaded for A.
I'd definitely go A. I really like her.
I mean, I like her, but she's definitely like my least favorite female of the party. I still like probably put her at B. She's right along with Ryuji to me. Like they're both fine.
I could go. I'm gonna go with B, but like if she'd have got the extra focus in strikers like Ryuji did, I think she'd go in A. But overall, I think B.
Mm.
Okay, next is Yusuke. For some reason, the tier list has Makoto first, but Yusuke's first.
Yusuke.
Yeah, that's my boy. That's my first S tier for me. That's my fucking dude.
I mean, Yusuke's easily clear A tier for me, but I don't know about S. Like, I love him. Like, he's so funny. Um, and the way he just casually is he's just so funny. Like, his
I mean, to me, he's just a complete character. Like he's got the sad story. He's got some of the best moments in the entire game. Like he's literally so effortlessly funny that is just he
yeah,
doesn't even need to try.
very much. He is like
And
effortlessly funny, and I do think
yeah,
that's really good.
Uh,
and I don't know. Like I think he
Oh
just
no,
stays
I just
relevant.
heard that. I just heard that
All
rattle. I just heard that rattle from Isa. We're about to hear a clown take.
all,
okay, besides Morgana, he's my least favorite of the Phantom Thieves.
Bloody hell!
I really don't like him.
Really?
so
He's
so much
Yeah.
so much for me taking the bad take crown.
Yeah,
I think
that's not
I'm the
Right.
one
thank
with the
you.
bad take clown here because I disagreed with both of you a lot. So maybe I'm the weird one, but we'll see at the end.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't have any significant problems with Yusuke. I just don't really vibe with him that much. I find him really boring.
I
And
guess
like,
he's very
like,
dependent on whether you vibe with him, I suppose.
yeah, and like you said before, I don't find him funny, so I don't like him that much because he's used for that a
I
lot.
mean, I personally find it funny. One thing I do want to address is like, as much as his backstory in that arc is like sad and pretty good, I do wish they'd gone a slightly different route with it. Like, it's sort of an open question of exactly how abusive to Yusuke Madarame was. Like, it's one of those things. I don't think the game really gives an answer to it. We know he was like pretty abusive to his other students. Like, we meet the one guy. He's on here as well.
Yeah.
The one guy with the bowl cut. Um, and like he talks about how like sometimes Madarame would just straight up just not feed them. But like with
Yeah.
Yusuke, the characters basically ask Yusuke, "Was it that bad for you?" And he sort of softly denies it. So like,
I mean,
I feel like an interesting path to have gone with Madarame and Yusuke instead of just the straight up just abusive adopted dad thing is to have it where because like keep in mind Madarame is an old ass man and like he's built this whole forgery empire. Someone's got to inherit it after he dies. And I think that would have been a more interesting thing to go where he's like trying to mold Yusuke into something of a successor, but Yusuke is just too good of a person for it to really work.
yeah, but I think that would take even more away from Hayu, and Hayu barely got much to begin with, like as far as
I mean,
her
how would that
unique
take away
conflict,
from Haru? They have the same backstory.
because she's already like the character that is the Harris or something, and like
Yeah, no, I get that,
the
but
father figure,
I think
the
it would be
father
the
figure
opposite
that
because as it is, they kind of have the same thing of the distant, abusive father figure who didn't really care about them and didn't really want to
yeah,
use
but
them for anything but their own stepping stone. Whereas I think if you change, you could have some interesting commentary there of like
yeah, but the difference is that Hayu at least has the unique factor that her father kind of cared about her,
the
even
difference
if
is that
his ways of caring about her
the
was really
difference is he
fucked up.
used to
Obviously,
no, the difference is that he used to care about her, but then he became shitty later on. Like
yeah, but
whereas with
like
Madarame, as far as we're aware, he was always relatively shitty. But it's sort of a question that Yusuke asks during his confidant is why did he keep me around for so long? Why did he take me in the first place? Like he says in his
I
palace,
don't
it's
know.
because he saw like the like his mum's paintings and knew that
Yeah,
Yusuke would
no,
probably have the same talent. But that reeks of bullshit. That's not how talent works. That
yeah,
shit
no,
is not like transmitted through
yeah, no.
DNA.
Like once again, like we see with even Kamoshida, at some point, obviously they were a decent person. Even though it was probably a long time ago, but yeah.
I don't think
Point
it's
is,
that. I don't think it's that bullshit to think, since a lot of it doesn't always happen, but a lot of children do want to be like their parents and like go into the same
yeah,
profession.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he
but
didn't know.
like I said,
He didn't know his mother.
it's a bit weird that he like seems he treats it like it's like an inherited superpower, whereas like in reality, like he probably wouldn't develop the same skill being raised the way Madarame supposedly raised him. So I do feel like, and again, Yusuke sort of thinks about this, like in the part of his confidant where you use like your own lockpicking skills to break back into Madarame's house, and Yusuke sort of stands around it. Yusuke kind of ponders this if there was something more emotional to Madarame's like taking him in, because like even if he churns out like amazing paintings, like Madarame is a guy who like he is Scrooge McDuck. He cares about every dollar. And like raising Yusuke for like 16 years before he started churning out incredible paintings had to have weighed on him. So like I just feel like it's kind of underexplored. This isn't really a criticism of Yusuke, just something I enjoy talking about.
Yeah. Also, since you already brought it up as well, I also must point out that I think, I think in the party at least, I think Yusuke definitely got the best social links. Like every single link is iconic in some way,
I
especially
think
the
he
ones where
wins.
he's like,
I think he sort of wins by default because all the Phantom Thief social links are mid to bad. If you ask me.
I don't know. I mean, Futaba is a pretty good one to me,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I think the issue
Uh,
Yusuke's social link has is that it's clearly got too short a story for 10 parts. So it sort of has to drag it
yeah.
out. Like you have a lot of pointless scenes of just kind of meandering about. Like I get that he's supposed to be recovering his inspiration, but it feels like it was just a bit too short for the amount of time they had to fill. Not like egregiously, but
I don't know. I just really enjoy it. It's just some of the scenes
oh yeah, it's definitely
are super
memorable,
funny,
and it does have some
and
good ones.
I just love the whole discussion of art and him trying to
Yeah,
like figure out to understand the human spirit and all that and
there is some good
how.
parts about it. Yeah, but it's fun.
Either way, to me he's an S, but I know he's not going there.
He's A tier for
So
me, so I think he's comfortable there. Also, we seem to be filling out every tier exactly so far. Like everyone's in one tier.
also I don't know how much we can take into consideration is a fighting him funny because his sense of humor is uh, I don't know, it's a bit broken.
All right, so Makoto's next.
Uh,
Ugh, I don't like her.
Makoto.
She's fine,
Yeah,
but
I like.
she sort of suffers from one. Her social link is atrocious, but she sort of suffers from the fact that her problem, like her problem with her sister, is part of the main story, but not the arc she's introduced in. So she spends like half of the game being kind of just there. And then she gets all of her development in like the arc with Sai. But the problem is because she's already been part of the cast so long, she doesn't really undergo a personality shift. So she ends up kind of she undergoes a character arc that she doesn't learn anything from.
Uh, I Isaman sent a message that Makoto is best character.
Why is Isa not here?
She's making food. I saw it now. She voted C tier for Yusuke, but yeah, she'd say Makoto is best character.
Ah, okay then.
I,
Sorry.
I think I'm in between you two. I like Makoto, even though I know she's not like
Yeah, like, don't get me
she's
wrong.
not there where.
I like her enough. She's like a good character, but she's just not. In the fandom, you either love her or you hate her, and there's just like no in between. Like, I do think calling her useless is funny. Like, right now you're completely useless to me. Saya's never heard of children before. The
What
concept of
the fuck?
children baffles. I could just imagine seeing Saya looking at a baby like, I don't get it. Why is it so small? Why can't it walk? I don't understand.
You can't even work. What the fuck? What are you raising for?
Sighed to her own newborn child. Right now, you're completely useless to me. Sai's so easy to make fun of. But no, back to Midkoto. Like she's.
Hey, hey,
Oh, you're back.
are we putting Makoto in S tier yet?
Oh, you're not gonna like this. Uh, I'm not fond of her.
Oh dear.
Go on then, give me your pitch as to why Makoto is so good, because it's rare that I actually get to hear the pitch.
Okay, because Makoto is like she's sort of like a rival character in the school for a while, because she's always like You know,
Yeah.
The way she
I'm not
follows you
entirely
around.
yes.
It's so
I'm
funny.
not entirely sure how to explain it, but it's almost like it's not exactly this, but it's almost like the rivals to lovers trope, but with joining the Phantom Thieves. I
I
thought that
get
was
what you
really
mean.
cool.
I do think one interesting thing,
Yeah.
I noticed this on my first playthrough of Persona 5. Persona 5 is a master of making you hate a character, revealing that it's actually because of another character, making you hate them, and doing it 4 times. Like, it introduces you to Makoto, and she's snobby as fuck. Like, the bit where she kicks you off the roof and, like, straight up makes fun of Shiho for almost committing suicide is, like, you hate her
I mean,
fucking guts. Like, especially if you
I
don't.
don't think she made fun of her. I
Well, she
don't
doesn't
think
necessarily like she doesn't straight up make fun of her, but she's really fucking nasty about it. Like it, like it's pretty bad, and
Yeah.
it's clear that she's projecting. Don't get me wrong; she admits to it. She apologizes to Arn for it later, but like the point is, they make you really
I,
hate her, and then they show you one scene with her and Sai at dinner, and you immediately go, "Oh, okay, that's why," and then you start to hate Sai. And then they show you how difficult Sai's life is and how annoying both the SIU director and especially Akechi are. And you go, oh, okay. So then you start to hate Akechi, and then they introduce you to Shido, and you start to hate him, and they bounce it over and over again. And I just think it's a clever little sleight of hand of writing
Yeah, for sure.
where they build up
I,
hatred for one
although,
character. So instead of the normal amount of hatred you'd feel for Shido, oh my god, I do that in my head all the time. Instead of the normal amount of hatred you'd feel for Shido, you feel like 4 times the amount of hatred because he's inherited all the hatred from the previous characters. So even though
Speaking
he's
of
barely on
Sai,
screen,
I really like how Makoto has to go through that whole ordeal of figuring out whether she should trust the Phantom Thieves or her sister more about
mm,
whether her sister's
yeah.
fucked or not.
I do think they
Uh,
do some interesting shit with the fact that her sister is the one investigating them for most of the game. But I just think like Makoto is built up well, but then sort of like Arn, she sort of
yeah.
ceases to be after that. Even though she's given a
Uh,
lot of prominence and like she she takes the lead in a lot of the conversations, which I know a lot of people have an issue with, where like you're supposed to be the leader and then she just kind of takes over. But that didn't bother
yeah.
me. But like, I do think it's a fair point to say like, what am I trying to say? Sorry, just going to get my thoughts in order. Like after the arc where she's introduced and before Sai's arc, she just sort of buffers. Like
Mm.
she's present, but even though she hasn't finished her arc, she's not going through it. So like for the entirety of the arc with Futaba and Kaneshiro, she's just kind of buffering, and like it leads to her being a bit odd. Like I do think
I
if
don't
you,
know.
I do think if you
I think
compacted her arc more, it would work.
I don't know.
Like
I feel like she's like a very focuses on the business in front of her kind of person.
yeah, but that
So
often
it's
leads to her
like
being a bit. That often leads to her being a bit annoying. Also, it's just the fact that like a good amount of her character, like she's clearly the intended canon romance option,
is
and
she? I
I,
figured that was Anne.
well, no, not really. But like Anna was my first romance, but that was mostly because I wanted to do a romance as quickly as possible, and also because she's cute. Like,
I didn't understand the romance system yet and went for like 7 people.
hope you enjoyed that arse beating.
I did not. I didn't know what I was doing
Oh, is that even in the
because
original, or is that just in Royal?
it is. It is in the original, yeah. But like, I did it initially by accident. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit!" And after that, I was like, "Oh fuck it, I'll just do everyone."
Oh man, the whole getting your ass beat for cheating thing is so funny when it's like, or rather, the fact that only P5 really has that. Oh, we beat. Is Stole just shut up?
Yeah. Hey, hey.
Okay.
In before Mike can talk.
By the way, guys.
So
By the way,
started
guys.
ringing. Yeah.
Before we continue, Do introduce yourself to the public.
I'm here.
Yeah, this is for the
Yeah.
combined channel, so
Wow.
I'm
you gotta introduce
Iris.
yourself again.
I'm just kind of here.
Yep, they have very
Okay.
very
Very good.
similar voices. Anyway, back to Makoto. In my opinion, she's like D tier. Like I'm just not fond.
I
Obviously, for
I
me,
was gonna
she's
say,
S tier.
I never hated her. Like when you were saying that, like, I found that point interesting, but I never hated her. Like from the moment she appeared, I found her interesting. Like I could tell, like she was like this rival character. And to be honest, I expected her to be a rival for quite a bit longer. So I was shocked when they revealed her other side so fast. Like
I do think it would
the
be
struggle she was going
interesting
through.
if you were to move the Kaneshiro arc, even to the other side of the Futaba arc, or even art. Like it wouldn't really work after Okumura, but I do think having her be introduced, or even just have her be like actually made part of the cast in Sai's arc, would be more interesting. Like you would be able to have more time with her as a rival before she sort of simmers
Yeah,
down. I do think maybe that would
I,
make
I,
her
I
more stand out. Maybe not like more likable or compelling, but I think it would just make her more memorable.
yeah.
Then what about
I,
Ketchy? We join at the same time?
Well, why not? They did it in the first
what?
case. They did it in the first game, the first part.
Oh,
They
well, that's
did.
the
That's
first
true.
part.
Like
Uh,
they did it with Arno
yeah,
and Yuji and Morgana. They did 3 at the same time, so why not?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but that's the first. That's the first.
To be fair, the first stack is different because you can't just have like two characters at the beginning.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
bit too
structured
little.
differently. I agree, but like even then, I don't know. This is all hypotheticals. We're not even talking about the character
yeah,
at this point. So like I could be
yeah.
persuaded. Like okay, let's hear Iris's opinion. What do you think? Like tier wise.
I'm not sure. She's alright. I don't
Yeah.
dislike her, but she's not exactly stand out to me.
Yeah. I think that to be honest, like at first she's like definitely way more interesting by the when she's getting like the focus of her arc, and then she kind of goes down a bit, kind of like Ryuji and Nan, I suppose. So she becomes sort of this. Um, what what's the phrase like? The what was that thing where the people call when a character is like too perfect? Uh,
Mary Sue, that would be.
yeah,
I think we have a
Merisu.
ban on that word.
I don't
We're not
like.
allowed to use that word.
Yeah, I don't like it much, but I think it kind of works a bit for Makoto for most of the game. Like she's like the leader. She's the brain. She's the brawn. She's like yeah.
She is
She's
not
this.
most of
But
those. She's not most of those.
she's
You know, I mean,
she
She's
she
because
not
kind of
the
is.
brains. That's Futaba.
well, no,
She's
her
not
whole
the
point.
leader.
Well, no, but she
She's
is
like
the
the brain.
brains. That's the point. She's the strategist. Like
Yeah,
Futaba does all the
Yeah.
tech shit, but guess what? Who's the one they always ask? What are we gonna do next? Well, it's her.
yeah,
But yeah, that's because she's the to business one. She knows a good
Yeah, no,
strategy
but
like
I'm all I'm
out of those
yeah.
that's what I'm
Because
civilians.
saying.
she's the smart one.
And
She's
then
the smart kid.
yeah, I mean, I do think it's a bit weird that they try and have her be the smart one, but also the rah, I'm gonna murder you one. Like you kind of have to pick one.
Yeah,
Like I do think she'd be more
yeah.
interesting if she was
I
just
think it
straight
works as
up.
two.
If she was just straight up the hot-headed, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you one. Because like I
Mm.
think that would be a more fun subversion. And like either way, like
I just think
let's say
I
B
just
tier.
think
We're
if
all
she,
kind of but let's say B tier because like I said, she's not a
Mm.
bad
yeah,
character.
yeah, no.
I just
B is
don't.
good.
She doesn't light my world on fire.
Yeah, she's not like amazingly or everything, but I do enjoy her. But yeah, kind
Okay,
of like Ryuj.
yeah. Okay, Futaba.
Uh, I
Futaba's
like her
she's
quite a
great.
bit.
she's this is fucking gremlin. I just fucking
I'm just gonna. Well, I saw this on Twitter like a few minutes ago. I'm just gonna send it on the Discord, and
okay.
I trust in you to put it on the video later. Uh,
Okay.
just zoom in. I'm gonna send it right in a moment. Just finding the post, but someone take start the conversation while I look.
It's like Futaba's just fun to me because like she's just like just this fucking feral gremlin child that's just funny. Like she has her whole arc
Do you
at the
agree that
start.
she's neurodivergent?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like I don't think that's a particularly important thing to point out because it's kind of just like Yeah. But like, what I love about her is that she's just so fucking kooky. Like, she has her whole arc at the beginning where she's like depressed and shit. But like after that's over, she just kind of becomes like, "Wow, you're fucking cringe," and that's just
Yeah.
becomes her whole character.
Also, also, I sent the art. Uh, just
Very nice.
perfection. Peak.
That
Oh yeah,
that's
hold on.
her.
Hold
That's
on,
her
hold
real
on.
mom.
Let me tab into Discord. Yep.
Yeah.
There's an interaction I'd like to
Real
see.
canon. Anyways.
Nah, but like,
Yeah.
to me, Futaba's just, she's my favorite navigator character by far. Because I mean,
Yeah.
sort of like
Yeah.
Fair.
Isa said against Yusuke. I just vibe with her. Like, sort of like what I said with Ryuji.
Yeah.
She's just a
No.
fun character to be around.
Yusuke and Futaba are both my autistic childs in this game. Like
They just,
they are both autistic as fuck in
like I said,
completely different ways,
they just
and I kind
vibe
of love them
well.
for it.
I just like being around them. Like,
Yeah, no,
Futaba's just the
like
sort of person
every
like you could just you know, hanging out with Futaba, you just kind of chill and just like look at
yeah
memes and play on your phone. You don't really have to like. She's very low maintenance while simultaneously being really high maintenance.
yeah kind of like me actually.
I do like
So yeah,
Futaba, and I find it pretty fun. But like that's all I really feel for her.
Yeah, Futaba one of the
She's
only
pretty
characters
fun.
where she kind of fades into the background after her arc is over without it feeling weird.
Her arc's like really
yeah,
cool. I really
Yeah,
like her
like
arc.
because she comes in at the
yeah.
halfway point of the game, it doesn't feel like she's really wasted. Like she gets some more stuff to do in the
No,
later parts of the game when it relates back to the death of her mother. But like overall,
yeah,
she sort of fades into the background gracefully, unlike with Arn and even Makoto, where it feels like their potential is kind of being wasted.
I don't know. That's how I feel with
I mean,
Futaba. I
the main reason why she doesn't get as bad is because she's a very important character to the story and Sojiro. So even if
Yeah, so she manages to make
even
constant
with her focus,
contributions without really being the
yeah, even if
focus.
even if she gets less focus, she's still like a very central character, I guess. So
I
you kind of have to respect it. Like
I do think
she's always just
I do think the one thing that could have been done to make her more interesting. So this is sort of an open thing. I'm a hardcore subscriber to the Shido is Futaba's father thing, even though it's been directly confirmed to not be true by the developers. I don't care. I like it.
oh.
Like,
okay.
so there's. Have you ever heard this theory?
No.
No.
Okay, so there's some interesting evidence to this. One,
Not one.
Akechi and Futaba have the same blood type, and it's a rather uncommon blood type, especially in Japan.
Okay.
So this is actually a fact: is that they're the only characters in the entire game to have this blood type, and we know the blood types for all of the main characters and all the confidants. Crucially, not Shido because he's not either of those things. Um, Two, oh god, what is it? Sorry, what? It's not out of the range of possibility, or B, out of Shido's character, and
Yeah.
two, it's the amount of secrecy that Futaba's father is treated with in the story itself. Like, you know,
hmm
the
Yeah.
way Sojiro talks about the way Wakaba talked about it, like it's clear that
Yeah.
she doesn't want to talk about it. And like just
Yeah.
going by the way Wakaba is presented, she clearly knows who it is.
Yeah.
But it's clearly not someone she was ever in a relationship with, because then like Sojiro would probably know, considering how close they were. And again, like I said, we know from some of Shido and Akechi's dialogue that Akechi was not the only one.
Yeah.
Like that's
Uh,
almost a stated fact. Not in that many words, but it is.
yeah. It's definitely one of those like there's nothing proving that it couldn't be true, but
Well,
yeah,
there is.
I'll just leave it at that. I
The
guess.
developers have directly said, like someone asked the developers about it and showed them all the evidence, and they said, "Clever theory, but no."
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted
Anyways,
to bring it up
more
because
important.
I like that theory. But you know, back to stuff that isn't theories. Futaba's fine. She's like A tier for
Yeah.
me. She could be S tier on
Yeah.
some
80.
days. Like I said, I vibe with her so much, but like that's
Yeah.
mostly personal preference.
I'd probably put her B tier.
Okay, so we'll settle with 8 here.
Works for me.
Okay, Haru, she's next. It's the
Oh,
fluffy
this is
thing
interesting.
next.
She's sweet and
Yeah.
also slightly crazy.
Yeah, Haru's a character that has everything she needs to be successful except screen time.
Yeah,
That's true.
Like, I get that this
She's-
joke is really old. Like, haha, Haru doesn't get any screen time, but that doesn't make it's not true.
She's added real late, and she doesn't do anything
Yeah.
too overly significant
And the
after
thing is,
her
like,
arc.
every time there's a late added party member, normally the game sort of combats this by having them be relevant the entire time. Like, the final party members for
Yeah, that-
each of the games, like,
yeah,
you know, Naoto is the obvious example where Naoto is in the game a lot before she's actually made part of the group. And in P3,
yeah.
you get all the party members pretty quickly, like
And then
obviously
I think
Ken's a huge focus and Koromaru's a dog, so they kind of get away with it. Whereas
I think the latest one are Ken and Shinji, right? Or am I wrong?
Even in Haru's arc, it's eaten up a lot by Morgana, who's
yeah,
doing her
that's the
his
thing.
thing at that
I
point.
think there's just a lot of things they could have done to make Haru's interaction feel more natural. Like the bit where she just shows, like in the Hawaii arc, where you have to interact with her. As hateful as I find all of Hawaii, like if they just added her in more than that, and Royal adds a lot of bits where you can see her in the background of scenes, like especially during the Kamoshida arc, she's in the background a lot. But like, I feel like if they just added more interactions with her, like even if they just had like, I get why P5 doesn't have school clubs, but if you could just garden with her, that would be fun. So like, you add optional interactions with her before she's introduced,
Yeah.
or just like I don't know,
Or to be honest,
have her and Makoto be already friends and do something with that.
yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, they are classmates, so like, why
Like,
not?
there's no reason she shouldn't be on student council. Like, it makes sense, even if it was just more of an honorary thing, like you in P3. Like I played P3 with Reload recently, obviously.
Money.
It's so funny how you just get like Mitsuru just puts you on student council with no responsibilities just because she wants to spend time with you. Like and everyone on student council is just kind of unbothered by it. Like even Hidetoshi, whose head is so far up his own arse, he reads the paper through his arsehole. Like they're just all kind of unbothered by the obvious nepotism. Like you could even ask her, like, so what am I expected to do? And she basically says, just kind of show up. I just wanted to spotlight that. Like, if you ever
She
want...
owns the school. She can do whatever the hell she wants.
Yeah, but the fact that she just so unabashedly does it, just so she has an excuse to spend more time with you. You ever want any fucking evidence that she had a bit of a thing for the P3 Britannians? There you go. Like, for someone
She's
who takes
running a-
student
Better
council...
than needing to be extremely smart.
For like... Well, yeah, but like that's to get really close to her. But it's clear pretty early on, like, you know, no one else gets rewards for doing well on their exams. Like no one else gets gifts that are in game, at least incredibly valuable for doing well on their fucking school exams. But no, sorry, we shouldn't be talking about P3. I just wanted to make a joke about that. But like, yeah, I do think there was more that could have been done to mitigate the fact that Haru gets low screen time because she's one of the final characters added. Also, the fact that they easily could have given her more scenes in the whole Shido arc. Like, obviously the Sai arc she kind of has to sit back for because she doesn't really have much to do with it. But like, they sort of start to do that. Like,
I just realized. I just realized we are talking about not giving her like the relevance to the story, but I just realized that they thought they were doing the same thing because they gave her the whole thing with Morgana and all the team, all the point, and that sucked. So they really thought they were cooking there. Oh my god! Wow.
I do like her friendship with Morgana. It's one of the only times Morgana is kind of actually fun. Like, or not even fun, but the only
Yeah.
time Morgana feels like a real character and not like a fucking limpet that everyone hates. Like, the two of them's friendship is cute and soft, and the fact that it doesn't immediately have Morgana's crush on Arn turn into a crush on Haru, the fact that that doesn't happen feels like a low bar to clear, but, well, Japan.
I mean, it's a bar.
Yeah. And that's the thing,
Here's
like,
why.
I do like the scenes they have together, like, whenever the two of them are talking together in a conversation, I like it. because it's the one time Morgana feels like an actual fun part of the cast instead of, well, like I said, like a limpet that no one likes.
Not that.
Anyway, so like I said, I want to put Haru in S tier because she's amazing and perfect and has never done anything wrong in her life, and we love her. But like, can you really? I mean, I guess
I'd
it's
say
personal
A.
preference.
Yes.
I mean, we could like it is all personal preference, and especially because I'm gonna outright pull the personal preference card a few times as we get into the later parts of this. Like,
But
I am gonna pull the "fuck you, I like them" card quite a bit. So honestly, I feel like we put her in S tier.
for me, it's B or C. But
Alright.
You are cruel. Like, you are really harsh.
She's cool. Like I don't know how to tell you. Like
Nah,
she's cool.
I'm taking the reins. We're putting her in S tier.
Okay.
Okay, now we have to talk
What the
about the
fuck?
pancake man.
What the fuck?
Mr. Pancake.
This is gonna be interesting.
Uh, I don't know. Like
You either love him or you hate him.
for me, he's another Nagito. Like I can acknowledge his impact on the game, even though I don't really like him in that
Fair
aspect.
enough.
Like
I think I like
I don't really
Akechi a
like him.
lot more because I played Royal first. He's a lot better in that game because his confidant that they added is really interesting.
Yeah, that is true.
I think it's my favorite party member confidant because you learn so much about him through it that like
Yeah, I don't know.
it sort of patches how cliche he is in the main game. And I also think he's a refreshing take on the Adachi character, like because they play the same role in the story, but it's refreshing how the game sort of double bluffs you, where the game is aware that you know he's evil about halfway through. Like the game sort of tricks you into thinking that the twist is him, when in reality the twist is that everyone knows. Like that's one of my favorite moments when the game pulls the rug out from under you. I love that moment.
It was a great moment.
Like it's done a bit clumsily with Joker literally having like moments in his memories. Like that's clunky.
Mhm.
But the actual moment, the bit where Ryuji smiles at the telly, yeah, we got him. It's so good. Like it's just so good. Like the scene is played so seriously. Everyone's reacting like, "Oh no!" when they see on the telly because they're all in public. But then Ryuji checks, no one's
Yeah.
around him. Yeah, we got him. It's so
It's
good.
stupid.
Like so props to that. I mean, that we're not really talking about Akechi at this point, but like I said, I think Akechi's fine. Like again, I
Yeah.
also enjoy I do enjoy being around him. Like someone left. Who was that?
That was Dolly.
I
Yeah.
guess they got bored. But yeah, so like, while most of his story events you're not really supposed to enjoy being around him, his confidant is I really like it. Like I said, like hanging out with him in that confidant really turned my opinion on him quite positive.
Uh, as you can see, like a decent amount of Persona 5 characters. Like I have quite a few that I really enjoy, but most of them I'm just like, it's cool, it's fine. Like Akachi is a bit less so because he annoys me, but yeah, he has like some stuff about him that I do like. He has like he can definitely be relatable to a degree, even though he's very cartoonishly evil. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I do think
I think
exploration of his backstory we get throughout his confidant makes it feel a lot more like he gives his motivation in the main events of the game. You kind of go, that's it. But then like because you get a lot more of the details in his confidant, it sort of blunts it a little bit. Where like sure it's still petty, but it's supposed to be petty.
to be, I mean, it definitely helps. Although I don't know how much it changed my opinion of him, like on the large.
Yeah, like you
But I
wouldn't like
think
bump him up multiple tiers, but I do think it sort of like it blunts some of the pathetic criticism that he gets.
I think for me, like my actual like favorite part, my favorite moment with Akechi and it also came in Royal, are the post game bit where like he's following you along after all that you've been through, and he's
Says
done
it's
with the
all
facade. Like he's
potatoes.
not pretending anymore, and he's just a fucking asshole. And
Yeah,
I
like
kind of love
his showing in the
that.
third
I
semester
kind of
really helps because it sort of answers the question that a lot of people had after P5 is like, how real was any of it? Like, you actually get to see it where, like, sure, he's an asshole, but like all of his thoughts about justice and that to some extent he means. And the bit where he sits down and gives a shovel talk about his opinions on free will is actually really interesting. And like I said, his whole showing in the third semester is really good. And I do think they needed more scenes, like that one scene that you have that's a story event where you, him, and Sumire go to a cafe together. I think they needed more scenes like that with the three of you
true.
because that's a really interesting interaction. And again, like it just gives you more time to see him when he's not really trying to manipulate you.
Yeah.
Even like he's got his masks on, but he's not really trying to get information out of you in that scene. So you get a bit more bleeds through. But yeah, like I do think he's gonna make the C or B tier. Like even though I kind of love him, I don't think I love him that much.
I like Akechi. I think he's really cool, but I don't like super latch onto him at all. Like I would other similar characters. He's just like, yeah, he's cool.
No, Joel's back.
That's it.
He's definitely C for me. Like I don't like him, but I can appreciate him. Like he's very mixed feelings for me. He's definitely not as bad as
So
Nagito,
thinking C
but he's
tier right in
a
the middle.
similar sort of.
I'd probably stick him in B tier because he is still really influential.
Yeah, but you know,
Influential, not necessarily.
well, he does drive a large amount of
Not
plot, but yeah.
yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean much. Like as far as ranking,
Oh no,
like how good
absolutely.
the character
But
is.
like, yeah, in my opinion, C tier. He and Joker can be together on the tier list, which I'm sure he would just love.
He's like my favorite character, but okay.
Like I said, I like him too, but I just feel like he sort of suffers from the Haru effect, where you don't get enough of him at like true level.
And again, he's cartoonishly evil. Like even though like we understand his backstory and a lot of it,
Well, the game doesn't
like
pretend
is it
otherwise.
going
Well, no, I
better?
suppose it does. It does. It is kind of enamored with how complex he is.
Yeah, no,
Although
he's just
I'm gonna hot take for a second. I like him more than Adachi. I gather we're not talking about P4, but I
Same.
like him more than Adachi.
yeah.
Same.
Okay, no, that's wrong.
I don't
That's
like
wrong.
Adachi
I like them
that
both.
much.
I do like the unrepentant I am a fucking asshole that Adachi has, where he just doesn't have a backstory that's sympathetic like Akechi does. He is just a prick. I do like that, but I just think that the pre-mask drop interactions with Akechi are just better.
Yeah.
I don't agree either, actually. I don't know.
And I like them both.
All right. Well, anyway, let's move on now because we already said we were going to C tier him. So let's move on to Sumire. Sumire is really difficult to rank because like we simultaneously spend a lot of time with her and none.
But for me, although Makoto's obviously my favorite, I think
Did anyone else
Sumire.
just hear a sound effect?
No.
Must be my headphones.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, Sumire probably has my favorite like character arc or like character focus or whatever.
I sort of like it. Okay,
What the
someone had to
fuck?
have heard that clapping.
Okay,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
that was Dolly.
Okay. Yeah,
What?
no.
What did I do?
Okay. Okay.
It literally shows up on the screen who does it.
Stop playing
Okay.
soundboard
Okay.
effects.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
What?
I will
Nothing.
shove Sumire's sword inside your penis all the way.
Uh. Anyway, Sumire. I think she's one of those characters that like she obviously she's got like a very interesting story. And a lot of focus. but it's hard for me to tell like how much do I enjoy her, like
I think the issue is how
because
poorly she's implemented. Where
yeah,
like
yeah
I want to compare this to Maruki. Like when you're playing through the game, if you did like I
yeah,
went
yeah,
into Royal knowing there is new content but not what it is, and like I didn't
yeah,
realize that Maruki wasn't in the original until I was told.
yeah.
Whereas with Sumire,
You
it's incredibly obvious.
Is that
yeah,
is
no,
that a bad thing though?
Not necessarily. It wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing if it wasn't shown they could do it so well with Maruki. Like, because Sumire feels so
I,
obviously an addition.
I
I
don't
will say
I
it's a
don't
bad
think they
thing.
have to I don't think they have to hide that it's an addition.
No, but like, I mean, she
It's not
doesn't
that they
feel
have to
part of the
hide.
story.
Yeah,
I
Like,
it's
compare
not
it
that they
to
have
like
to hide it.
I know we like to shit on her, but compare it to Marie in Golden, where like she
Yeah,
gets to interact with the other characters, even if it's only in her social link. Like,
yeah,
I think if they just had scenes where Sumire got to interact with the rest of the cast before the third semester, it would feel better. Because as it is, it's just like there's so
yeah.
few scenes where she feels like she's actually like she feels like she was modded in. Like it feels like you're
Yeah,
playing a mod.
she kind of just exists.
She
She's
does
Like
like
just
your
kind of
other.
show up earlier
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
But I do like that you
She,
get to interact with her throughout the
mm.
whole
And
game.
I do think that it's cool that she's in a lot of scenes, but a lot of the scenes aren't very good. Like
yeah, no, she's.
like her in Hawaii is such a joke. Like it's just it's so ridiculous and like all these scenes where she just shows up for 3 seconds to like say something funny and pull a cute face and then just leave. Like also I disagree with her not being part of the crew for the Shido heist. Like I don't care if it's a change. Change it.
I just. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard to me to like justify her being like above B for personally.
Mm. I do think it's like
She's good,
I think that the
but
difference between Kasumi and Sumire, like as in Sumire pretending to be Kasumi and then actually being Sumire, it's
yeah,
not pronounced enough. Like you see it for the first few scenes, but then she goes back to basically the exact same personality, except now she wears her hair down. So like, well, what was the point?
Uh,
Either they're exactly the
I
same
mean,
person, which we know isn't true in the flashbacks we see, or she's still pretending to be someone she isn't, which makes the arc pointless.
I
Like,
feel
I
like it's
mean,
more attributed to just her real self leaking through somewhat because you can only pretend to be someone else to a certain
well,
extent.
no, that's not the point I'm making. The point is that after the third semester itself, like, they treat it like she's massively changed and is acting differently now, but she isn't. Like, after her breakdown in Maruki's Palace, like, after she rejoins the team and she's like, yeah, oh, I'm alright now, she goes back to the exact same personality.
uh, I guess to a degree, like
And it's just.
she's different enough to me, but
She's different
I can
enough
see
in
what you mean.
occasional scenes, but like we see how she acted before the car crash in a flashback, and she's clearly
Yeah,
just a more quiet person. And that's the thing. Like, I would be interested if they actually explored the idea that she's, even though she kind of says she's come to a conclusion, she's still trying to play up the whole
yeah,
exuberance.
maybe.
Like, I think that would be interesting, especially because they have an entire second half of her social link they do very little with.
Yeah, maybe it's just a matter of like they already like design
Hmm.
her tentative self looking
Yeah.
like that. I guess they kind of kept her that way. I don't know, something like that. I don't
I
know.
don't know, but overall, I think
Either
just
way, yeah.
like she's a fine character, but just how poorly she's executed and how little she feels part of the game, despite the fact that like she's simultaneously so focused on and completely under focused on at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Like she gets a lot of lines, but she doesn't really say much.
Yeah.
Like if the game
She
is so
has
enamored
she
with
has
her, which it clearly is,
a
it
no, it
just
is.
like the game is clearly enamored with her, then it needs to give her more actual focus. Because as it is, it feels like she's just shoehorned in without like you know that bit where you don't want to actually sit on the dirty ass bench, so like you kind of float above it. Like you're like kind of holding onto the handles, not actually sitting on the bench at the bus stop. That's what she feels like. Like the game wants her to be in it, but also doesn't want to actually do any work and change any scenes.
Yeah.
Like again, I said it before. She should have been in the Shido heist, so you actually get time with her when she's not undergoing a mental crisis.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would blunt it more. Like the bit where she shows up in Sire's palace during the escape is fine, but it doesn't lead to anything.
No, she's just kind of there. Also, the fact that she literally, and this is actually was something that bothers me. Like they force her so much, like to try and be part of the story, even though she's not actually that important to most of it.
Mm.
That they literally put her in the parts of the game just so she can show up right on the beginning scene of the game, like when you're fighting, like you're surrounded by monsters. She shows up to help you and then she disappears just to make
Yeah.
you, oh my god, who is she? Like
I mean, that's a
what's her
good
deal?
scene, and I like her introduction in the first arc, like the bit where like she comes out of the office having just been talking to Kamoshida. Like she's introduced well, and like the bit on the train and all that. But then she sort of just kind of, like I said, it's like they were scared to actually let her touch the story because that means they would have had to write new scenes, which they clearly didn't want to do.
Yeah, no, what my point is that just that if you're gonna like all the Phantom Thieves are just in the backup later, they're mystery characters and stuff, and then all of a sudden this whole different character shows up to help you, the protagonist, in this scene that it's about to be an introduction to the story for the new players and stuff. So when you do something like that, and she shows up and she's all badass and cool and helps you and makes you and talks about the promises you made and shit like that,
Yeah,
she better be a really fucking important character. And the
and it
fact
just feels
that
like
she
she isn't.
kind,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Like again,
very
I
mixed
get
feelings.
what people say when they
But
say,
I
"What
like
did you expect them to rewrite the entire game?" I mean, no, but like
it.
I just
A little
expected
bit
her to
at
be
least.
in more of it. Like again, it feels like the game is sort of adverse to actually putting her in it, despite how much they ram her down your throat at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's like they're
Anyways,
playing just the tip with their own character, and it's a bit annoying.
yeah.
For me,
But
I
anyways,
could go
yeah,
with her being in C tier because like I do like her, and like in the third
yeah,
semester she was really good, but it's just I can't not criticize her implementation.
yeah. No, looking at my other tiers, I think that makes sense actually.
I think I'd put her in A tier personally, because obviously I really like her, and I think the whole third semester part with her is just so good.
Yeah, from a purely
But I
aesthetic
wouldn't
sense,
put her
I
in.
like her, but
But I
like
wouldn't put her in S because there is, like you said, there is a bit of a sloppily shoving
yeah, I
in.
mean she's a good character built on just like fundamentally shit cracked rotation like foundations. Like you
Yeah.
just it again, it simultaneously feels like they really liked her and didn't want to put in any fucking effort.
Yeah, I like her on a superficial level, I guess.
Yeah,
Not,
exactly. Which is why
not.
she's not in the bad tiers, but like she can go in C tier,
Yeah.
which puts the whole royal trio in the same tier, which is funny.
Yeah.
Which tier we put her in?
See,
See.
See, we ranking Igor and the fake Igor,
well, the fake
or
eagle
just skip those?
represents Yaldabaoth, and he is the main villain of the
Yeah,
original, so we kind of do have to rank him. And we'll rank Igor because he's here. Like,
yeah.
He's Eagle.
I'm just putting Igor in S tier just because I guess I
oh
don't
yeah,
know.
but we'll get to Igor when we get to him because he's second after Yaldabaoth. I do wish they'd just put a
No,
picture of
yeah, no,
Yaldabaoth, but I
I'm
get
just
that they're using sprites.
I'm just putting Igor in S tier and not acknowledge it to be honest.
Yeah, like he's so good. We love Igor, but again, we'll get to him in a minute. Right.
Yaldabaoth.
Yaldabaoth, people talk about how well built up Yaldabaoth is, and I agree with them. But the thing is, I just don't think he's. he's incredibly annoying when he's actually on screen, like as himself. As the fake Eagle, he's fine.
I
Like I
mean,
said, the
the
build
thing
up
is,
is really
he's-
good.
the thing is, he's very much like every other like god of the of Persona. Like
But
he's
the
just
difference is he
one
doesn't
of
have
1 million.
much to say. Like once he comes out as
Yeah,
himself, he's just humanity should
yeah,
submit to control over and over and over again. Whereas like it's just like
yeah.
go back and replay the Knicks fight and tell me they are anything alike in how entertaining they are. And I'm not talking about philosophies here. No, but I'm not talking about
Personas 4
I'm
and
not talking
5,
about what they
like
actually
it's
represent.
like
I'm talking about how they are when they're on screen. Like
no, yeah,
throughout his boss
like
fight, it's just over and over again. It's the same lines. Like
no,
fucking
yeah,
hell,
but
I
like
get it.
to
Shut the fuck up. Like at least Izanami has the uniqueness to not actually speak that much during their boss fight. Like
yeah. Although
for
I
God's
was thinking
sake.
more I was thinking more about the big guy thing
Mm.
from Persona 4.
Oh
He's
yeah,
also just boring to me.
yeah,
So
but like
they all blend.
I just
They all just
again, like I
no
said,
feelings.
Yaldabaoth is built up really well, and all the
Yeah,
foreshadowing, and it's all really good. But when he's actually on screen, I want nothing more than for him to be off screen because oh my god, just say something different, say something that's not a platitude you got out of a fortune cookie. I swear to God, speak,
Yeah,
speak
I
English.
agree. I
Like
really like
just
the stuff with fake ego, but everything that isn't that, I just
yeah.
don't really like.
And the thing is, like,
Yeah.
like I said, the fake Eagle act is fine, but most
Yeah.
of that time is Caroline and Justine. So, like it's other than the cutscenes for every time you beat like a major story event, he doesn't talk much.
Mm.
Specifically, I guess because it's to preserve the mystery, and I understand that. But like I said, it's just Yaldabaoth just annoys the fuck out of me. Like,
And I will say that even though it is literally the same, like by definition, it is literally based on the same deity, the same figure. Yeah, about the demiurge.
yeah,
The demiurge from Persona 5 Strikers is literally
yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing, but more interesting. I think it's
I do
executed a
think
bit more
that's more
interesting.
interesting, where it's a very much completely man-made problem, and I do think with Yaldabaoth,
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know. I don't find he's not he's not fun to take down. Like he's just not. I don't enjoy beating his ass because he never shuts the fuck up. Every single time you do anything, the game stops to have another scene where he goes, "Those foolish humans, submit to my control." No, shut up. Stop talking. This is my frustration with the final
Uh,
fight. Like,
yeah. I mean, to be
think it
honest,
might have been a bit loud.
the only thing I find interesting about Yaldabaoth is the fact that he led me to go on a rabbit hole, researching what the fuck is Yaldabaoth,
Oh yeah,
and
he's
led me
definitely
to figure
what he's
out
based on is
the
definitely
mythology
interesting.
behind it.
What he's
Very,
based on
very
is
interesting.
definitely interesting, but that's not a thing. In my opinion, I could
But
take him down to E or F tier because like I said, I just don't enjoy when he's on screen.
I would put in E solely because of the whole fake Igor. Like
Yeah,
because other than that, not good death.
like I
But
love the twist, but that's not really a compliment of his character. That's just the story.
yeah, no, that's about it. Like I'm willing to go E, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'd
I
say E.
guess. Like I do love how they use the guy's voice acted. Like they use the death of Igor's voice actor to trick you. That's so cool.
Yeah, a bit fucked up, but extremely smart. Yeah,
Yeah,
either way.
but it
But yeah,
uses the expectations, especially of Western fans who know what tends to happen when Japanese voice actors die. Like to the point where I don't even
yeah.
think Igor will be in the next mainline game. Like I think they'll do what they did in Strikers and have him not be around.
I don't know. It's possible, but
I mean, they
I don't know.
recast him for P5X. Like they did actually recast him for P5X. He has new lines in Japanese. Um,
Yeah.
but like Yeah, that's a magic trick a lot of people don't know. Real Igor has no spoken lines in Japanese. He's completely unvoiced. And all of his lines in P4 in P5 in English are reused from P4.
You,
Oh no. They revoiced him in English, but in Japanese, all of his lines are taken from P4, which is actually why he speaks so weirdly because he's designed to quote P4 as much as possible. But anyway, so obviously Igor's
okay.
S tier, but like I do just want to gush about him a bit. Like
Okay.
Igor's just so like
Uh,
he's so funny. Like obviously my first experience with him was P5. It's like I was ambivalent on him back when because obviously I didn't know the twist going in. I was ambivalent on him at first, but when he shows up in the final arc with his kooky ass voice, and he's just like he just manages to be
yeah.
so effortlessly hilarious while also feeling cool.
Yeah, which is funny because he does aside from like providing you the guidance and stuff and helping you in those moments, like he doesn't really do much, but he doesn't really need to. He's just you're cool guy. He's just the guy behind the chair. He's
Yeah,
just the nose. Yeah,
it's just your cool
he's
uncle
just cool.
basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Well,
I enjoy when he's on screen. Like I said with the other S tiers, like I just enjoy it when he's on screen.
yeah. Uh, well, do next comes dead.
Yeah, next is Sojiro. If Igor is the cool uncle, then well, Sojiro is he's dad.
Yeah,
He's
which
the
is
dad.
funny. Which is funny considering that like at least for like a solid beginning, a solid amount of the beginning of the game, you can see cracks in his armor already, but you don't especially you don't expect to actually love him and stuff. And then S tier, like
Yeah.
he's like
'Cause I do think it's
he's
interesting
like
because
the
I've been replaying the game and I replayed the first two arcs already. Like I'm finishing up with Manarame's Palace at the moment. While in the first few story scenes, he's very snippy and dismissive and clearly doesn't want to be around you. You can start his confidant like really early on, and you can tell already that he already is trying his hardest to not like you.
yeah
Like you can tell he's having to put effort in to not just like you.
yeah no
And I do think
he's a hard
that's
ass like
yeah. And well, like
yeah like
he's a fun character, and like his relationship with Futaba is interesting. But even if she wasn't there, his whole dynamic is still entertaining.
yeah no like so Jiro is like a very a very important part of this game. Like he's a very core main character. Like even though he's not one of the Phantom Thieves, he's
Yeah.
arguably as important as them to the story. Like
Well, I mean, not
without
quite, but yeah.
him,
Like,
no, without him, it just wouldn't be the same. Like it wouldn't be Persona 5
oh, very much. And
without
I
them.
do like he's very important, and I
Yeah,
like him. But he's sort of those characters. I don't
yeah.
really have a lot to say about them. He's just very good.
I mean, there's not a lot to say because everyone already knows. Like
Yeah.
everyone, pretty much everyone thinks the same thing. He's just dead. He's just dead. Like
Yeah. I mean,
his
I don't know
story.
if he always hits S tier for me because as much as I like him being around, like I said, he doesn't really light the world on fire. Like he's just a very good character. But like, I could go for S tier.
I mean, for me, he's definitely yes.
What
I'd
do our
probably
two
put
silent voyeurs think?
I'd probably put
Put him
BRA.
in D for dad.
I'm hoping that's a
I will
joke.
choose.
Then it's a joke. He's great, but he's funny.
I think he should go
Made
in
a
A
joke.
so he can be
Alright.
with Futaba.
Yeah.
Should think so.
Just because it's funny to put them
Ah,
together. Alright, so
I'll leave.
now is the twins.
Do do we rank them separately or with Lavenza? What do we do?
Well, all three of them are on the list, and I feel like the twins will probably end up in the same tier. but like Lavenza, I am gonna rank separately. Like if the twins end up in separate tiers, they end up in separate tiers. But like I imagine they'll end up in the same tier.
Like, you can't exactly have one without the other.
Which is, the entire point. But like the twins are, it's weird because again, having played Royal First, I have a higher opinion of them than most people because of their hangout events, which really makes them tolerable. If you don't do them, they get really annoying.
I really
Like,
like them.
for the
I always
first
found
few
them fun.
arcs, they're all right, but because they don't really have anything else to say, like they just kind of have the same thing to say over and over again. They kind of drag the middle of the game.
Yeah.
So like sometimes they get really annoying. Like, okay, we get it. I suck. Can you please shut up now?
If I'm being honest, I think I like them because I like being bullied by two tiny girls.
Well, we know.
Yeah, we know.
Can't say that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong about that.
Well, if I'm to rank the twins separately, like I've already made it pretty clear, like that I like Caroline quite a lot more than Justine. Justine is kind of just there. Caroline is at least funny.
Yeah, I mean, simultaneously, it's kind of the opposite. I mean, like Justine's really dry humor really works for me. Like she's just so kind of deadpan about everything that it makes it work. But in my opinion, like even as a combined unit, they kind of drag after a while. Like I kind of lose focus with like their joke stops being funny about around the time of the Futaba arc, and then you're just stuck with them for another 20 hours. Again, their hangout events massively help. Like it makes their hangout events make them way funnier.
Yeah.
But even then, it's basically the same joke they tell with all the Velvet Room attendants, like of the whole not understanding humanity thing. But
Yeah,
there are some funny scenes.
but that's also Elizabeth in all the
They're like a
all
solid
of them.
C tier for me, but overall, I don't like them that much.
For me, they combined they're about to be.
I could go
I'll
for B.
say, but
I can put a B in.
yeah,
Mm.
they're okay.
Now on to
Uh,
Lavenza. This is where I'm playing my I fucking like them, I don't care how good they are card. I love Lavenza. Like she's just
You get to rank Lavenza then.
she's just so effortlessly funny. Like everything she says is either intensely quotable or really funny. Like I just
mean,
love the
I don't even
vibe she's
remember
got.
like.
Well, it's mostly Royal. Like in the main game, like in the original game, she doesn't really get much because she's in it for maybe 20 minutes. But like even then, she gets some funny lines. Shut up and listen. We don't have much time. Like the bit where she just tells Ryuji to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And she's just she's got a really good design. Her voice is cute. Like everything about her is just well designed. And I do definitely feel like she was designed first, and then they split her into Caroline and Justine because she's the one that feels the most. Well, like she feels like she was designed to fit with the other two.
Oh yeah. If you're gonna design characters that are two halves of the same whole, it does make sense to design the whole first.
Yeah,
You know.
and like, well, often with something like that, with a twist similar to hers, you see in other games, a lot of the times they design the two halves first, and they sort of have to think about how to combine them. I do think they missed a trick with Lavenza to make her really, really tall. Because if she's supposedly the combination of the two halves, like the twins are 3'5" each. She should be 7 foot. That'd be funny.
Yeah,
She
but
should
I
be
think
even
they knew it.
taller.
Like imagine if she was just
But I
7 foot
think
tall. Like a lot of people can't comprehend how tall that is. Like she'd be like 3 heads taller than you.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I think
Joker's
they
not
knew what
short.
they were
Or
doing. So you know.
Like,
But
but
either way,
it's Royal that really makes Lavenza funny. Like her boss fight is the funniest boss fight ever, despite how much I hate actually playing it. The fact that her basic attack is running a fucking chainsaw up your chest.
you know.
I've
She
never
just goes,
actually done that boss or even watched it.
she just goes, "Will you
I,
survive?" And then she cuts you across the chest with a chainsaw.
I did see the chainsaw thing.
Or the bit with her in the nurse's office where she's just like sleeping, like.
I mean, personally, like, you're totally fine to rank her higher. Like, I don't think I can like rank her much higher than the two is. Like,
To me,
they
she's
are all
just
like
so fucking funny.
they're
Like the bit where she falls asleep and
like
has like a dream about beating up the Holy Grail. We'll see how holy your Grail is now. As if she's got a sledgehammer.
no, to me that's just classic Caroline behavior.
Well, yeah, she's very much
Yeah,
Caroline with a Justine vibe. Like a lot of people say,
yeah,
oh, she's got that Justine personality because she isn't constantly screaming. And in the main game, like yeah, but when you get into Royal, she's very much Caroline.
yeah.
And I just,
But
in my
yeah,
opinion, she's the only character in the game where every single thing she says is quotable. Like literally everything she says is either quotable or funny.
yeah. I mean, I'm not arguing with that. I just don't remember. So like, for me, it didn't have that effect. But I do believe you. So
Something
yeah.
Korean. No, but I'm putting her in S tier because I'm playing my I fucking like this character, get off my back card.
I'm
Okay.
saving that card.
I mean, I've got as many of those cards as
I,
I fucking say I have, but like, this is my main one.
We get one.
I
We're
mean,
peasants.
Yep.
I guess I'm saving mine for now. I didn't even know that was a thing, but
Next on the list is, because I think the confidants are in alphabetical order, is Chihaya.
um,
I have
she's
so little to
fine.
say this forward. This point on.
She's
I,
fine.
I quite like
Feel
her,
like
but she's
her confidant is
eh,
interesting, but it suffers
yeah,
from the it all happens off screen issue of a lot of confidants. Where
yeah,
like she talks about how she like had this whole argument with this cult she's part of, and like blah 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 blah. But we
yeah.
don't get to see any of it because we spend the whole confidant sat down at a table with her because they didn't want to animate more scenes. So it sort of leads to her being kind of whatever. She's definitely cute. Like she's
Uh-huh.
another character that's kind of fun to just be
But
around, but
yeah,
she doesn't really do much for me.
I also think it's kind of weird how the whole thing with like she can actually see the future. So like for her like fate is unavoidable. So like whatever the
Yeah,
if she can
sorry,
actually see
I need to address
she
this.
can
Is she
actually see the
actually
future.
magic or not? Because like the game can't seem to decide.
Yeah. So like the whole thing the whole thing
I
with
get that she
like
can't like have
it
vivid
doesn't
visions of the
seem
future, but like, does she actually have legitimate like her tarot card predictions? Are they like legitimate or not? Because the game can't seem to pick. Like they
I
sure have
don't know
effects
like
on mementos, but like that's a gameplay mechanic.
yeah
And also, every time you
we
talk
can
to
be
her,
sure but
she predicts the events of the game coming up. Like, if pay attention when you go to
yeah
see her, she's talking about what's going to
yeah
happen next.
yeah at most I can say she can at least see the future through cards like
Yeah,
because the game takes cards seriously so I guess we can live at that much at least but so then she sees the future so she believes that fate is unavoidable makes sense
yeah.
but
Her
then
arc is
you
like
show up
subtly
and you
interesting. Like,
yeah
she's just
but
not
then you
really
show up
that
and you
amazing.
convince her but then you show up and you convince her that you can challenge fate by just saying so, like, and you convince
You lie
her
to her
clients
face
to just
because you're using actual magic to change people on a fundamental level and tell her it's just advice,
yeah,
bro.
and you're just telling them go do that. You're gonna succeed, and it works out, which is a bit weird for me considering these games like that has the whole vibe of realism and how the world
Well, to be
is
fair,
isn't always
it's only
there.
the first lady where you actually change fate using mementos. Everyone else, you do just kind of tell them, "Have you considered just putting in some effort?" And that works. It's only the first lady with the
I
abusive
guess.
boyfriend that you actually use mementos for, and also obviously her issue with her cult leader. But that's normal for confidants.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I like her, but I don't know. She's not like anything amazing, especially compared to the others.
We've said a lot more than I
Yeah.
expected to at the start because like she just kind of she's fine.
I mean, again, I like her. I quite like her, but yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, she's like C tier. I feel like a lot of confidants are gonna hit C tier because they're just fine.
Uh, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
okay with that.
I'm getting really sleepy.
Well, stay up.
You wanna go? Do you wanna go?
Hold on. Okay, we're live again. Sorry for the random jump cut, and we're back.
Uh,
Right.
the
Where were we? We finished
the
talking about. Shut up. We finished talking about Chihaya. EY is next.
the, the shop guy.
Yeah, EY is next.
Gun dad.
EY is awesome.
Yeah, I don't have many feelings about him.
No, his
He's
social
cool.
link is the best. He's awesome. I love him. Like, he's just like so much fucking fun. Like, it sort of starts out feeling like it's gonna be a bit boring, but like, nah, he's the fucking best.
I guess what I'm finding out about me is that I don't care much about Yakuza things because Rico also doesn't give me any strong feelings.
Well, I personally think EY is
Oh
cool as
well,
fuck, and his confidence is cool as shit.
He
it
just
is very
tells
cool.
me guns. That's who he is. He gives me guns.
Yeah, he's definitely cool. I just no strong feelings. Like he's cool.
Oh gosh. But for me, he's like A
Yeah,
tier. Like, I like him just as much, if not more, than Sojiro some days.
I cannot relate. Sorry. Mm, I
Bro,
like him about as much as Ryuji, I guess.
like, bro, Gecko Gundad is the best. I love him.
Maybe less. But yeah.
Like, for me, solid A tier.
I'd say C again.
Yeah, C or B.
Cruel. Okay, B tier then.
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
Sure.
If you
Yep.
guys are all saying C tier ish, then I'll be like, yeah, okay, B tier. I really like
Okay.
him, and I think he should be an A tier, but like, okay, Takemi.
I I I I like her, but I also expected to like her a bit more than I do
Yep.
because she's a golf mommy, and I actually expected to be as obsessed about her as I am obsessed about Kawakami, but it's not close. It's
But she's
definitely not
just
close.
not like. Don't get me wrong, her design is well, it's her design.
Yeah,
Moving on.
yeah,
But like, while her
yeah,
story is interesting, it also suffers from long confidence syndrome, where it feels like there's more story than they had. So there's less story than they had time to fill.
yeah.
Like maybe that's just me, but it really feels like they're sort of scraping to find how to fill like the last few ranks of her confidant before the conclusion. Like the middle of it really drags on.
A lot of these other social links in P5 tend to be rather basic, I guess.
Yeah.
So
And all of P5 social
yeah,
links tend to suffer from this issue, but this is another one that really focuses it. All of the interesting shit happens off screen.
yeah.
Like she goes and does stuff, and we don't get to see any of it.
Yeah. And the like the whole thing with her the guinea pig testing remedies on your stuff. It's funny at first, but then it kind of just gets old. So
I do think it's got my favorite, like, because Royal added the phone conversations at the end. It does have my favorite one, where she basically asks if you're experiencing any side effects, and you could say, "I think I have superpowers," and she'll just lose it laughing. Like that.
that's cute.
Yeah, like
I like that.
she's a good character, but it feels like all the parts don't really come together seamlessly. So overall,
Yeah,
she's just like absolutely fine. Doesn't really light
yeah,
my world on fire.
I really like
yeah.
her. She's definitely higher on the confidence for me.
She's one of the better confidants. It's just most of her appeal is her design. And her design is very appealing. Don't let anyone ever tell you
Yeah.
otherwise. But
Exactly.
it just
Yeah.
feels like there's just not enough there to warrant her being, the most amazing character ever.
Yeah. But we enjoy her. But like, yeah, for me, it's also a B. Like a lot of Bs,
Yeah, I'll go
as
with
you
B
can
tier.
see.
I'll go B tier. I expected more of the confidence to be in C tier, to be honest, but so far it's mostly B tiers. Again, she's a good B tier.
Yeah.
A B plus player at
Someone.
best. Don't worry, that's a reference you don't need to get.
Okay. Someone that doesn't going to be for me is Kawakami though. Like Kawakami definitely.
We all love Kawakami. Like,
Yeah.
I do want to call
She.
one thing out with her before we start gushing about how much we like her. Despite how good her confidant is and how she develops into such a good character, because her confidant isn't mandatory, we don't get to see that developed version of her in game as much. Like
The
she
what?
shows up in story cutscenes. Like she develops throughout her confidant. She becomes like a better teacher and a better character. Blah 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 blah. But because they can't guarantee you've
Yeah.
done it, they don't get to show it in all the story cutscenes she's in as much as it would be nice if they could.
Oh, yeah.
Like she
But
shows up in a lot
to
of
be fair, that
cutscenes because of the plot,
yeah,
but she doesn't really
yeah,
get to. They sort of have to write around it, where she acts like less of a dick than she
yeah,
does at the start, but not as good of a person as we know she's become. Like that scene you get the day you finish her confidant when you're back at school,
Yeah.
and you see her just like being really attentive and nice with the students, and they're just like, wow, she's just feels completely different. Like I do wish we got a bit more of that.
yeah. Although to be fair, you can say that a lot about a lot of the game, including the all the stuff like regarding like you dating a character and then
Yeah,
the game doesn't act like it happens. But yeah,
but she's
I
just one of
feel
the
it.
ones I notice it the most because she's the only confidant that's in a lot of story cutscenes that isn't
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
mandatory confidant or a phantom thief, where most of their development happens in the actual game. But
yeah,
overall, she's amazing. Yes,
yeah.
it's just a little
She's
aside I wanted to
definitely
put in.
yeah. She feels like she's gonna be a rather basic one because of the whole maid aspect, which it definitely
Made in
seems
China.
like I said maid side. Sorry. Uh,
No, I was just being
uh,
kooky. Don't worry.
okay. Uh, what was it? I forgot. Basically, she's a lot more complex than she seems at first,
Oh yeah,
and her story really hits like the whole struggle of a character that seems like she doesn't give a shit, but it's mostly just because she's so tired all the time from
yeah.
doing the most just to get by
It's
and
really
like
interesting
yeah
to see a character who is suffering from loss that isn't an immediate family member or even close friend. Like the sort of loss that she's experiencing, you don't really see it much. I just think it's kind of cool is the wrong
yeah
word, but compelling.
yeah, and it's the kind of character bit that you can only apply to a very good teacher, which she clearly is
Yeah.
because when she isn't suffering from over exhaustion. But yeah,
Yeah, and just generally
uh,
suffering. Like she's a very good character, and I do think
yeah,
the game kind of puts her confidant a bit too far out of the way. Like, don't get me wrong, Operation Maywatch is funny, but like I do think, and the whole joke of the maid showing up and oh my god it's her is funny, but they kind of sacrificed her confidant being obvious for that, and
yeah.
I
I
do
suppose.
think like you know even though I
Yeah,
already mentioned that the scenes she has in the story kind of suffer from her not
yeah,
being able to show off her full development in it, I do wish she got a few more scenes. Like the bits with her in Hawaii are fun. Um, play a clip from the famous scene of her posing in a mirror and Haru just being like, ah. Just makes me cackle.
Sorry, my sister was talking to me here, but yeah, she's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys will want to put her in S tier, but she's an S tier for me.
No, she's an absolute A tier, but I don't really want to go for S because of the issue I mentioned already, where like some of her screen time suffers a bit.
I'd definitely put
Yeah,
A.
Oh yeah, absolutely
I suppose.
solid
She's
A,
a
no lower.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
But I also don't really want to clutter the S tier with I like this character because they're hot, which is like 20% of it. Don't lie.
Yeah, yeah, but I
Okay,
also
good,
didn't.
Lorenza.
Well, I didn't put Laventa there because she was hot. I put her there because she was funny. I put her there because I
Same thing.
vibed with her. Like it's not the same.
Same thing.
And
Hot
also,
people are
shut up.
funny
This is
people.
my video.
Check. Okay. But for you,
Oh yeah, I don't care.
Akakami is one of my favorites, but I'm still saving my fuck you. That's my favorite card
Yeah.
for a while because there's a character that I don't know if you guys will love or not, and I'm waiting patiently.
Yeah. Right. So
Yeah.
I don't care.
I like her.
I I just I get what they're going for with her character, but one, most of her arc about like tiredness and frustration, being stuck in depression, all that they already kind of do the exact same arc with Kawakami, but better. But even more than that, I
Yeah.
just
I mean,
I just
to be honest,
it, it's all
the
clever
only
written
thing
down
I
on
get
paper, but it's just not.
the only thing I really enjoy about her in the interactions with her are spending time with Lala-chan, to be honest.
Mm. And that's just the thing. Is like all the justifications people make about how like I just she's not fun to be around in my opinion. Like I don't enjoy spending time with her. And while her arc is interesting, and I do like the idea of a confidant being sort of tied into the main story, where it sort of approaches the issues of like like the concept of Shido is approached in a confidant. I like that. That's one thing I do want to point out. Like it's probably the confidant like when it comes to normal non-main character confidants that comes the closest to actually touching the main plot, and I think that's a really clever idea.
Yeah.
But like overall, she's just kind of whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's infamously known as probably the worst P5 confidant. And although I don't dislike her, I agree with that sentiment, to be honest.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
like I said, she's just kind of fine, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm not as there for it.
I couldn't care less, to be honest.
To me, she's
I
D
like
tier
her.
because I don't really have issues with her, but I also really like when I look at a list of everyone that's available. She's the one that I'm least excited to go spend time with.
Yeah, no.
I'd put C.
Uh,
Like I said, for me, it's D because like I said, when I look at the map, I see everyone that's available. I only go see her if there's no one else to go see.
well, actually looking here, Chihaya is in C, so I do think D is more accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, now for the ultimate little brother.
I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I never saw this character at
Really?
all, so I don't know anything about him.
That's fine.
Did you not even do all the confidants?
Eh.
Honestly, imagine.
Nope. I've never seen this guy.
All right.
Bozo has never done the
Uh,
little brother confidant.
I, I I think I think he's a character that I enjoy, but there's definitely a lot that could have been executed better for his storyline. Like
I do think it's got
it
some
just
issues, but like he's just the funniest little fucking doofus. Like just this little
you
fucking
know
Call of Duty kid. Like yeah, it's like an arcade shooter, but the joke is the kids that are into Call of Duty. That's the joke.
yeah.
And like
Uh,
just this like this kid was me when I was his age.
Mhm.
Like he's lonely and friendless, but like tries to be really like I am very badass, and he's super into Call of Duty. Like this was me when I was his age, so maybe that's kind of why I relate to it so much. But like,
No, yeah. I just think like as far as the story goes, it's like pretty basic.
mm.
Uh, but it's still like it's still better than the Oria. Like as
He's
far as
also a
confidence
really
go.
interesting
Uh,
case of a confidant that is completely contained to their own arc. Like he does not appear
Yeah.
anywhere else in the game.
Yeah, no.
Like even like Oya, Chihaya, um, most of the early confidants, even Yoshida and Hifumi, they still poke their head into like a scripted event, so you're forced to see them. If you don't go looking for Shinya, you'll never find him.
Yeah.
And I do think that's shows a level of faith in his storyline that kind of surprises me that they were willing to just have him be completely locked away from the rest of the game if you don't go looking for him.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall, I just think he's a fully solid confidant. And again, he's at least B tier, possibly A tier for me. I just really like him.
I do really like him, but I just have like some issues with
There are issues with him,
the
yeah. There are
event
definitely issues
overall.
with him.
I think B is like the highest I could argue. Realistic to say, you know.
Interesting. I mean, I guess I see not thinking him to be like that amazing,
I,
but I
I,
personally really like him.
Again, like as a character like by himself, I think I like him more. But like counting the social link as a whole, which I think is really basic, I go a bit lower.
His social link is kind of spinning wheels, but like, I do think it's fun.
It's all okay, I guess. It's not one of my favorites.
No, like his social link itself is fine, but he's one of the characters I just have no complaints. Like,
That's okay.
it's another case of being
That's
fun to
fine.
be around. So let's put him in B tier along with Takeme.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Hifumi. Hifumi is aesthetically cool, but is overall just like okay. Like everything about her is cool, and like she's just like yes, but also like how
Mm,
much is she really a good character, and how much of it is just like step on you vibes.
I mean, to be honest, I really like her story. Like
Her story's definitely
the
interesting, but
She's the average. She's an average
and
Yu-Gi-Oh fan.
yeah,
although I think that for me is the side of me relating because like yeah I'm not like a super mod or anything, but for me it was like the intelligence side, you know, being the project kid that is always meant to be the
yeah.
perfect son and always gets good grades and oh he's the pride and joy of the family.
Oh yeah,
And
I can
so
see the
like there's all
relatability
this
definitely. But like, I think my
yeah
issue with her is that her confidant really, really suffers from it all happening off screen because like none of the actual events of the confidant happen in front of you. It all happens either between layers or after a jump cut. Like they make the excuse with the final bit where like that you can't have spectators for like the shogi game or whatever. But like sure, but like it just means so much of the events that you're supposed to care about you literally can't see. And
yeah
it
yeah
causes her confidant to be you sat down listening to her tell you about cool shit or like sad shit that's happened to her.
yeah.
Again, her conflict is
Although
interesting, but like one, her
yeah
mother is too cartoonishly evil. Like she's just a bit too like okay, we get it. But
I
like
mean I think uh, Shinya suffer from the same problem.
yeah, but we
Really.
also don't see Shinya's mother on screen. Well, I suppose we do see her on screen, but like
Yeah.
Shinya's mother was more real, if that makes sense. Like if it makes, I know people like Shinya's mother. Like
And again, like that's the problem for me. I personally know a mom like her mom because that's my mom. So
yeah,
you know,
no, and I understand
to
that, but
the
I
degree.
just think
So
overall it kind of
yeah, she's exaggerated, but yeah, it is like I said with Shinya, like the social link itself, like the story drags it down a
Yeah.
bit.
But again,
But as a
like you were
character,
saying
like
about
I really
Shinya's
like.
mother, the issue, the difference with Shinya's mother as well is that Shinya is also really difficult and she, whereas Hifumi is as perfect as a child can be. Like she does the
But
fucking best, whereas Shinya is actively choosing to be she to make a point, which he says as much. Like he
yeah,
admits it. He's being she for no reason,
yeah,
and that's the point of his
yeah,
social link. That's not a criticism of him as a character, but like with
yeah.
Hifumi's mother, it's just so cartoonishly like Nickelodeon levels of like, come on. And it just kind
Yeah,
of, again,
but
I wouldn't mind it as much if we got to see any of it, but like I said, it all happens off screen, almost all of it. So it just leads to like, how
but
much does the game expect me to care just because she's hot?
I think it's mostly because it's just a really common thing, like the whole thing of parents like ignoring the child's desires to do something that they like rather instead focusing on something that will bring them money and
Yeah.
success and stuff, like no matter what, like that's what important,
Oh yeah,
what that's what's
it's a
more
very
important.
compelling actual story. I just feel like it isn't
Yeah.
A, handled well, and B, it's not as interesting as it needs to be for it to happen entirely off screen.
Mhm.
Like if I could
Yeah,
see more of it, I'd be much more interested.
yeah,
So
but yeah,
solid C tier for me. Like again, she's hot, but like I don't relate to it the way I
yeah,
do the B tiers.
yeah. For me, that's an A. I really like it. For me,
Wow. I mean,
w-
depending on what the others think, we could just average it out to a B tier.
I'm happy
to
with
me,
A.
to me, she's a more
Um,
interesting Makoto.
Oh yeah, very much. I do prefer her story to Makoto's on paper. Like again, Makoto's gets points for actually happening on screen, but like
Yeah.
I do think Kafumi's is a more interesting conflict on paper.
I think the only reason why they went with Makoto instead of her is because they could only have so much autism
I want
in
to
one
dispel
team.
that
Like,
myth for a second. The character of Fufumi, as we think of her, was never considered to be a phantom thief. Only her design was.
fair enough. Either
So
way,
it is a true
they
fact
they
that the
could only have.
design of Fufumi was going to be a strategist alongside Makoto, but was just they decided it wasn't necessary. But the actual
Yeah,
character backstory and general vibe, like the shogi player with with the difficult mother, was never going to be a phantom thief. That character was made after they just scrapped her being one.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Either way,
again,
they
that's
could
not
only.
really that well known, so I thought I'd just clear that up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Either way, the Phantom Thieves could only handle so much autism levels. Like
yeah,
they already have two. They can have a third one. So yeah, that's my justificative.
yeah. All
Uh,
right, so
I'm
now
just
but
doing it.
yeah,
There is no too much autism.
Mishima.
He exists.
hmm.
I like him. He's fun.
He's
he
fun.
he's too much like me on many levels, and not in a way that I enjoy.
I think
I
the
guess.
issue with Mishima is that he doesn't get to be more involved. Like I get why people say like I get when people say he shouldn't have necessarily been a phantom thief. Like I see what they mean
Yeah,
with that. But I just think if he
yeah,
was I think he just needed to be like actually working with the team and it'd work for me more. Like
yeah. Yeah.
the fact that he doesn't
He's
even
just
meet the other Phantom Thieves, like it just feels a bit silly. Like he does more to fucking help than most of the rest of the group does, with all the mementos requests.
he's just he really just comes off as the fanboy guy, the the incel, all the stereotypes of the dork, the nerd. So
Mm. Like I said, I
uh,
think his
yeah,
character has more potential than they let it have. Like he's very
no,
undervalued,
yeah, but
but
he
overall
has
he's fine.
more. The ending bit of his social link definitely like one of the highlights.
Oh yeah,
Like the whole
the whole
thing of
idea of his request being himself is so cool.
And my favorite part being the one that they go to change his heart, and then he's waiting for like, let's do this, and they're
And then they're
like,
just like,
no,
no.
he's not that far gone yet. You can do it yourself. Like, you already know that you're in the wrong. Like,
And how much
we
that
don't need to
pushes
do
him.
it.
It's really good. I really like it.
Yeah.
But like his
Yeah.
confidence, another case of because of the way it's designed, with each level being related to completing a mementos request. Man, does it feel like a bit dragged. Like
Overall, where
so
does
much
that
story
lead us?
happens at the end of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, like he's a solid B, maybe A tier for me because like I sort of vibe with him sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
For me,
dependent,
B.
but like I like the idea of him. Like I relate heavily to the idea of him, even if it's not executed perfectly. So Peter,
I'd put him in C myself, but B's fine.
Yeah, he's alright.
hmm.
I feel like I'm not saying enough at the moment.
It happens. So yeah, let's
But
let's
with the
put him in B tier.
confidence, I just don't have much to say for most of them.
Okay, Yoshida, we like him.
Hmm.
He's good.
Yeah, he's a sweet man.
Yeah, like his another confidant that sort of brushes up against the story in a way I like.
Yeah.
But he himself is solidly like he's another
And,
character
and
that's
and
just comfortable to be around
yeah, and
in a
I
way I
and I
like.
can and I can appreciate having a character in this game that's all about like adults fucking up basically. Uh,
Just have him be a
to
good
have a
one,
character
even if he
that,
fucked up in the past. Yeah,
yeah, exactly, a character that fucked up. He did wrong, but not only did he's actively, honestly trying to make up for his mistakes and choosing to do what's right, but he doesn't care if that makes him unpopular. Like,
yeah,
he's still struggling, but still choosing to do things his own way. So and yeah,
yeah. So
much
overall,
respect
Adam
for
May
the guy.
Bernie Sanders is very good.
Yeah,
In my opinion, A tier or
I,
B
I
tier?
don't, I don't, I don't get that reference, but yeah.
Don't worry about it. A tier or B tier?
Hmm. E- Either one could work for me. I don't know about the you all. Either.
Hello.
Um, I, I I don't remember him at all.
Oof.
I like him.
Okay,
Um,
but like A tier or B tier? Do you reckon?
I guess A tier. Why not?
Okay, so let's put him in A tier because, like I said, he's another character that's just nice to be around.
yeah,
Like I enjoy because obviously him being the Sunday social link, you hang out with him pretty consistently, so it's just nice to just be around.
yeah, and I guess I should have realized this before. But an argument to making a tier as well is that the fact that he's a social link all focused on politics, and even then I don't find him drag to be around.
Hmm,
Yeah, he is
it
very
is
solid.
interesting. But yeah, so Sai is
Yeah.
actually next, but I'm gonna put her after Okumura. We'll talk about all the palace rulers except for Futaba in order,
Okay.
just because I feel that's more interesting. Right, so Peter Man is next.
Mm,
The
I mean,
famed superhero Epstein Man.
Ah, Mr. Disrespect.
Yeah. So I do think that one thing I kind of notice when other people make tier lists is they seem to misunderstand that you can put a villain high on a tier list even if you don't agree with them because you think they're good in the story, like their role in the story is well executed. Like a lot of people don't seem to understand that despite how obvious it sounds to sensible people.
Mm.
So like I mean Kamoshida is a really effective villain for the first arc because like usually the first arc of like games with lots of villains like this try to make the first
yeah,
first killer, like the first victim villain, my brain is frazzled. And try and make the first villain kind of sympathetic, but like
Yeah.
this game flips that on its head. Like even like I suppose it doesn't really apply to the other games. They don't really have episodic villains the way this one does. But like,
Yeah.
I like I like him just being no, he's just fucking evil. Like there's nothing complex there. He's just a prick,
He's just awful.
and
But he
like
does it really well.
they don't give him like a tragic backstory, or even like a slightly sympathetic backstory, or even like any motivation. No, he's just like I can take advantage of my status, so I'm gonna fucking do it. Like
I mean,
he sort of tries to
I don't
platitude
think.
about it after he's been defeated. He's like, oh, people pushed me to do this. No, no, they didn't.
I mean, I don't think anything would fly if they tried to make up a setback story on why he abuses his students
Yeah, no,
as a
I
teacher. So,
respect it for that. They just go straight for no, he's just a shitty person.
He's
And
just
that's
fun.
just the end of it. And again, his arc is so well written compared to the other villains that it sort of boosts him in comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Like
By
he's
being
sort of the only
awful.
arc that's never really undercut with comedy. Every other arc sort of undercuts their villains in some way, even if it's just through their designs. But despite the fact that he's wearing a red cape and pink like a pink thong, it somehow doesn't undercut him. Like Okumura dressing up as a spaceman is treated like a joke, whereas like
and it looks like
yeah, and like again, most of the villains like obviously Kaneshiro kind of gets away with it because the whole point is that he's really pathetic. But like
Yeah.
with Kamoshida, it's sort of startling just how seriously they treat him. Like he's taken very seriously as a threat from the beginning to the end, and I think it really works for him.
He's just great.
they really set themselves up to the higher standards with him as the first, and
Yeah.
they kind of drop the ball a bit.
Like it's.
But how high are we thinking?
I mean,
So,
I'm thinking like
because
B tier because like he's not like an amazing character. He's a pretty standard character. He's more just
Yeah,
good in
exactly.
comparison to the other villains because, like I said, with the other villains, they kind of drop the ball with them pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Whereas with him, it's just like again that arc of the game has a different vibe to the rest of the arcs. Like there's very little comedy in it until he's defeated. Like
I think
Yeah.
I'd say A, personally. Like, it's very hard to make a character that, like, truly pretty much everyone hates. But he is definitely that character.
yeah, because it's often hard to ride the line between like really hateable and kind of so cool that you start to like them. Like
Yeah.
even with Shido, like because they make him look cool, like when he's fighting you. I mean, like you can kind of sort of vibe with that, and like you see this in Strikers with Kanoe, who weirdly is not on this list. The fuck is so cool in his boss fight that you sort of like him begrudgingly, whereas they
Yeah.
managed to avoid that with Kamoshida.
Yeah, he's
I
just
like Kanoe.
Yeah, I know.
He's
It's
cool.
so weird. Like half of like all of Striker's villains and even some of their important characters aren't on this list. I'm gonna have to go through and like find PNGs of them online. Like I'll have to pause the recording and find PNGs just because like it's completely ridiculous.
You
that they aren't
know,
here.
anime Tony Stark.
No, but we're getting ahead of each other. Anyway, Kamoshida's like he's such a well-written villain, because he's so flat. Like there's nothing to him.
Yeah.
Like
He's just fucked, and that's it.
Like he's the perfect starter villain for a game like P5 that's about like the societal corruption and how some people are just fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like there's no bells to his whistles. Like it's all fucking just prick. So honestly, I'm going for A tier. Like you
Yeah.
said, like I think he's just. It's sort of a marvel of writing in a game written as fucking like backwards as Persona 5 sometimes is. That like they never managed to ruin it at any point.
Yeah,
He's also the only villain that has scenes that make me genuinely uncomfortable. Not in a oh come on way, in a oh god sort of way.
Yeah,
Like replaying his arc is really difficult sometimes. Like,
disturbing.
I feel that. I still I don't know how high I can put him because well, like you say, he's not like an amazing character. He's just like good by comparison. But yeah,
okay, Madarame is next. We sort of talked about Madarame during the use case section. Like I
yeah,
wobbled on about him for a bit in that section, but Madarame is just sort of one. He has a lack of presence. He's not in the arc much, and like when you're a villain who's shitty and not really supposed to be a liked character, presence matters a lot. Like
yeah.
you can pull off a character who has a lot of presence specifically because they're not around. They do it with Shido. But with Madarame, it just feels like he needed to be in it more. Like he's not the type of character whose absence works for his character.
Yeah, no, it is weird. It is weird how long it takes for him
Like even
to
if they just
really.
added one more bit with his shadow in his palace, I think it would work better. Because like even Kaneshiro has more presence than him.
Yeah,
Like
I
Madarame is
guess so.
certainly more threatening than the fucking Purple Man, but like I don't know. I just feel like I said, there's missed potential with his arc for one, and two, he's just kind of. I do like his breakdown after you beat him, um, and he's certainly heinous, but he never really. He doesn't really have a particular scene that's really memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I even struggling with like something to really argue. Like
Like
he's
he
another
he's,
villain in this game.
he's a
I always
solid
found
villain. Like he doesn't have any gaping flaws, but he's just not.
Yeah, yeah. He's a villain.
I always found him just a bit flat.
He doesn't really jump out. Yeah,
I don't find him flat, but he's not anything amazing.
he's like a C tier for me.
Like there was a
Yeah.
point during Persona 5 where I just stopped playing for like an entire year before going back. And it was during Madarame's Palace that I did that.
Hmm. I do like his palace in the way it's designed, both in a progression sense and a pure design sense. But it's also just a bit long.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I didn't really say about Kamoshida is his palace is probably the best designed in the entire game.
Oh yeah.
Like it flows so well.
It
I mean,
also represents
obviously,
him so
yeah,
well.
obviously it being a literal castle helps, but it feels like such a trek to the top.
So sometimes less is more. That's about it.
Kamoshida's also has so much unsettling imagery weaved in.
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit excessive. Like the final tower with like the arses that you have to climb on, bit much. But like overall, it's very good in that sense. Like okay, so on to Kaneshiro now. Kaneshiro's arc is a bit difficult because he's the only villain that isn't personal to anyone.
Yeah.
So like even though it's Makoto's introduction arc and she has like beef with him, she has like pretty normal you are a horrible person beef with him. Like there's nothing personal there, which both hurts him as a villain but also hurts Makoto's introduction.
Yeah.
And he's just overall like we talked about Madarame lacking presence, and while Kaneshiro is around his own palace more, and you do get some interesting looks into his psyche through like all the notes and shit. Overall, he's just kinda. You're never really given a reason to care. Like, sure, he's exploiting shooting students and all that, but it's just overall, it's a bit.
He's like a gang member, and so he's bad, and so he's a
Yeah,
criminal.
like you want to
And
take
that's
him
about
down,
it.
but it's
Yeah.
more because he's bad than because he did anything to you. Like I said, I get that it would be hard to tie him in, like with him being like this really high level crime boss, it would be hard to tie him into a specific character. But like, I feel like more could have been done just
Yeah.
with it. Like, I don't know, just have him fucking like take someone hostage. I don't know, figure something out.
He's just not compelling. He's just not.
Yeah, so like he's like a D tier for me because I'm just not given any reason to care.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah,
Also, his
D.
boss fight's fucking annoying and can suck my ass. Alright, because Futaba was a main character, we've already talked about her, we're on to Okumura now.
He exists.
Okumura's a
Face
character
man.
that sort of works and sort of doesn't. Because, like,
Yeah.
you write down his whole, like, his gimmick on paper, and it's clever. Like, I like him, and the fact that it starts to sort of open us up into the true main plot of the game. Like, he's certainly there, and all the scenes we get with him and Haru in the real world are really compelling, and probably the first time the villain has felt truly threatening on screen since Kamoshida.
Yeah.
Like, I suppose there's that scene in the real world with Kaneshiro, but like even then, it doesn't feel really threatening because the entire cast is there, and you go, they're not going to shoot the entire cast dead. Whereas, like, you know, you believe he could flip out a Haru and like bitch slap her or something, like.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Those scenes with him in the
It,
real world are really, really compelling and really,
yeah.
like I said, probably the first
Yeah.
time the villain has felt threatening in a long time. But when you're actually in his palace, partially because of how kooky and silly his palace is, it's just a bit hard to take it seriously.
Yeah. It's hard. Like I don't even know what I think about this guy. He's just a very inconsistent villain, I guess. Like he's meant to be like this guy that has become a horrible guy, but he still cares about his daughter to a degree, or at least in
Well,
his own way, even though he's
that's up
willing
to the jury, I think.
to marry her off to a guy for an opportunity.
Yeah,
It's
that one's up to the
weird.
jury.
I'm not,
I'd probably throw him around CLB.
Yeah, I think he can go with Manorame and C tier, to be honest, because like he's an effective villain for the arc he's in, but he doesn't
I guess.
he doesn't have, even though he's personal to Haru, he doesn't like. I think that's half the reason Kamoshida succeeds is he has a personal thing with all three of the characters other than Morgana. So like it sort of elevates how he feels as a villain because he's got beef with all three of you completely separately, whereas most of the other
Yeah.
villains don't even know that you exist. Hell, I don't think Madarame ever meets Red on screen because I don't know, like, because there's a bit where An and Morgana break into the room in his house, and obviously there's Yusuke, but like I don't think Ryuji or Ren ever interact with him on screen in the real world. Just a thought. But Okumura has that problem
Uh,
magnified because he never appears to the thieves in the real world, and is in fact the only villain to do so. Every other villain interacts with at least half of the cast on screen
yeah.
in the real world. That is.
Uh,
Lou, are you far away from your mic? You're kind of quiet.
I'm just not sure what to.
Yeah.
He's,
Like I said, he's a solid C
yeah,
tier along with Madarame. They go together.
yeah.
Okay, now we talk about Sai, even though she was originally high, like first on the list. But we'll talk about her now.
Mm,
What do I feel
She's
about
hot.
Sai? I mean, yeah, she's hot, but like, welcome to Persona characters.
I don't. I don't think I love her quite as much as some people do. Like I don't see. I don't quite see what people see about her. Like she's certainly interesting. She has her moments, but I'm just not really that invested in her. To me,
Mm,
she's just the character that is Makoto's sister and helps out Ren and stuff.
yeah, she's used
But yeah,
interestingly as a framing device throughout the game, like with the interview and all that. But and while her palace is certainly interesting, her palace kind of suffers from being a timeshare with Akechi. Like he's mostly the focus of that instead of her. And while her mentality is interesting, she's almost on screen too much, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Because you spend sort of like what I said with Morgana, because you spend so much time with her through the flash forwards, it's sort of like by the time you get to her palace, not only do you know that like this is probably not going to end with your traditional palace ending,
Mm.
but also like her, like I said, her philosophy and conflict are interesting, and her being one of the main characters, like her being Makoto's sister, and the fact that we've had Makoto for multiple arcs at this point, I mean, is interesting. But overall, she just kind of. Mm,
I
And I
really
also
like
think,
I really like that she's not really a villain. She's like
yeah.
she's like probably the only one who's a good person who's just got something wrong with her rather than being just a shitty person overall.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
Well,
depends
I
on how
suppose
charitable you're.
Futaba as well.
Well, Futaba, yeah, but Futaba's not even an antagonist.
Yeah.
But like, I
Yeah.
suppose that's
Yeah.
true. It depends on how you feel about Okumura, because if you believe Haru, then he was definitely used to be a good person. But like, it depends on how much you believe that.
But like Okuma was became a bad person. Like Sai's not a bad person now during her
Well,
palace. She's
she's
just
a morally ambiguous person.
I wouldn't say she's a bad person. She's just got
Well,
some
tell that to all the
bad
people she
parts to her.
wrongfully convicted of things.
Yeah, that's
You
bad.
know, like tell that to all the
uh,
people in prison for life for crimes they either didn't commit or like got excessive sentences for.
but yeah, I also think it's a bit like the connection is a bit forced for her palace. Like, oh, she's like taking a gamble, so her palace is a casino. Like, because women, they need a lot of luck to
Well, no, it's more
succeed
because
in
she
this.
sees all of life as one big game. Like the being a
Yeah,
woman thing is
something like
part
that.
of it, but it's all because she just kind of sees life as one big game where you have to cheat to win everything.
I guess it just I don't know. It's a bit feels like a stretch to me. Like I can see the reasoning, but it feels like a bit of a stretch. But yeah, I
Overall,
just
like I
think they
said,
wanted.
she's good, but she just suffers from being, like I said, in the game a bit too much.
I just think they wanted a casino to start off the game with. But yeah,
Oh yeah, because it's such a Phantom Thief location as a casino.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's
So
so
like,
cool.
I do feel like they worked backwards from the concept of her palace as a casino.
yeah.
But like, yeah, there's also one thing I want to talk about here, which is her cameo in Strikers, because her cameo in Strikers is so funny because they didn't want to
Yeah.
make a 3D model for her, so the entire scene is shot from her perspective. So she never actually appears on screen.
No,
Like even
the
though this,
motherfucker.
like obviously Makoto calls her on the phone, but the scene where she gets Zenkichi out of being questioned, because it's done from her perspective, she's not actually on screen because they didn't want to have to make a model for her, which I just think is funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably could have got away with reusing the model from the main game, but whatever. So overall, I think she could go for A tier, but like if she ends up in B tier, I'm not going to be butthurt.
I'd say
Yeah.
A tier. Yeah.
To me, it's B.
Mhm.
I just don't see like what's the hype with her. But yeah, if you want to go for A, I don't
Okay,
really
so
care either way.
we'll go with A.
Yeah, I
Okay,
just have no
so
feeling.
now Shido. Shido is the first villain since Kamoshida that I think is really done well.
Yeah,
Because again, sort of like what I said about, I sort of mentioned it when we were talking about Madarame, but Shido is the villain that benefits from not being on screen much. Um, because he is that guy. Like he caused all the problems. Like everything comes back to this son of a bitch, and you just want to kick his teeth in so much.
yeah.
He's also just so well
Uh,
presented. Like he's voiced really well. Like his actual appearance, where he feels imposing without feeling too excessive.
yeah,
Like sometimes you see it with like these, especially these political villains, where they're almost overdone. Look, like I'd even point the finger at Kanoe with this, where he literally looks like Tony Stark, and that's a bit much. Like, and like even with Maruki, once he's acting as the villain, like with the whole like the suit and the slicked back hair, and it's all a bit much. Whereas Rushido, it feels effortless.
Motherfucker, his eyes. Huh?
Yeah.
No, but I think it's all fun and games until he goes into his boss form. Like once he gets to that, I think he's also like cheesy as fuck.
Well, yeah, but at that point,
Especially,
at that point, it's his boss
especially
fight, and B, it sort of manages to leapfrog too much and jump straight into this is so much that it's funny again.
yeah, I will agree until he gets to the whole thing where he just dumps everything and becomes a really buff guy that you gotta beat up. Like
Yeah, honest to God,
at that point,
I love that the game implies that he's like not the red form, but the form where he's got the braces on implies that he's that buff in real life. Like the game implies that solidly, because remember, Shido is the only shadow that doesn't look any different because he doesn't really have distorted desires, just evil desires.
yeah, I don't even know.
Like everyone else, like all the other palace rulers believe like a false philosophy about life. Shido just believes that he should be the number one. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And as such, his shadow doesn't look any different. So like, it heavily implies that before he does the purple shit, like the Senator Armstrong style shit, that he's actually that buff in real life, and I love that. Like, just imagine trying to assassinate Prime Minister Shido, and he just tears his shirt off, and he's shredded as fuck and beats the shit out of you.
but
And yeah, also
yeah, I
I
don't
will
even
put in
know.
an edit here of Shido as Senator Armstrong because that whole comparison is hilarious. Right, who here has played Metal Gear Rising and gets that reference?
I know
just know
enough about the memes.
Yeah, so
yeah, I
you've
just know
seen the
the
memes, so you get it.
when here I realize, yeah.
Yeah, so like I've actually played that game, but like even if you've only just seen the memes, you get it.
Yeah,
I've got to try and do an
we
impression
get
of Senator Armstrong one time.
yeah.
Nah, but
Well,
yeah, like
uh,
Shido is one of the
but
only like final, like fake out final villains of a Persona game that I feel like works. Like,
he works, but I also don't care about him to be honest. But
I personally quite like him. Like I said, I feel like he's such a functional villain, just like Kamoshida. Like he's just you just want to knock the fucker's teeth in. And
I like
again,
how he's the one that fucked us up, the player or Ren.
hmm,
honestly, to me, like you can just take the wheel there because you can put Shido anywhere between A and F, and I'll
yeah, like I
just
said,
nod along.
I was angling for
Yeah, I think I'll
A.
be right.
Because, like I said, he fits in alongside Kamoshida. He's definitely my. I don't know if I like him or Kamoshida more. I think I like Kamoshida's arc more, but I like Shido overall more because he's just like I said, he's just so effortlessly menacing. Whereas with Kamoshida, he's trying really hard, like he's being really excessive, which is intentional. But with Shido, he's just so casually like, I'm gonna have you all killed, and that's just kind of the end of it.
To me, Kamoshida feels too much. I don't know. It feels too much like again cartoonishly evil in a
Yeah,
different way than someone like the Okumuya, but still feels cartoonishly evil.
yeah. Whereas, like
While
with Shido, everything he
Kamoshida,
does feels very real.
no, I was actually saying, I was actually saying Shido.
Oh, you said Kamoshida, so I was like, I do agree that I do want to kind of take the point you accidentally made. I do agree that Kamoshida is almost cartoonish in how evil he's. Like his motivations and what he's doing feel real, but he's very excessive, and that sort of works for his arc. But with Shido, like I like how dispassionate it is. With Kamoshida, it's very personal. Like, whereas with Shido, it's
Uh,
just no. you guys are in my way, so I'm going to kill you all, and that's just kind of the reality of it. Like, even when his literal son is one of his enemies, he just doesn't care. Like, he's just like, yeah, you'll die like the rest.
Uh,
Moving on.
what I mean was more so that Shido feels like he's just like pure evil and stuff.
I mean, yeah, but like,
Which
why not? He's the
I
final
don't.
villain.
Yeah, but I don't find that compelling and stuff. While Kamoshida feels at the same time more exaggerated, but also more realistic, as far as like
I
a
think
terrible person goes.
I think both
Like
work in their play. Well, the thing is, there's nothing really unrealistic about Shido. Obviously, his methods are unrealistic, but it's a Persona game, so are ours. But like, people like Shido exist in the real world. Like, he's very much a standard politician. Like, there's nothing actually that much about him. Because, like, sure, when you get into the depths of his boss fight, he does like a grand sweeping speech, but it's very clear that he's doing it because he can. Like,
yeah,
like at that point,
but
you're having an anime fight with literal Phantom Thieves. You may as well do a speech. Like, it's clearly an off the cuff thing, and I kind of like that. Whereas, like,
yeah,
most of the time, he's pretty like, yeah. So I'm going to take over the country, and you better try and fucking stop me.
I
And again,
just
it sort of
yeah,
resonates with me, I
just,
suppose.
I just don't really care for that.
Like,
The type of character.
Shido's just fun to A, impersonate, and B, write quotes for. Like,
I guess so.
he's just funny. And also, he's
Yeah,
bald, and bald villains are always funny.
I guess so.
I do love it when you
I
get a
just
bald character who clearly has no shame in being bald. Like, usually when you get bald villains, they're either old people who have balded, or people who've got, like, thinning hair and are really embarrassed about it. Shido is just, like, one cue ball motherfucker that, like, you could make fun of his bald head, and he'd just go, yeah, okay, and also just punch you and kill you. Like,
yeah.
that is a man
That's
with,
what
like, a full... He has no hair, but a full head of confidence.
that's how I wish that's how I wish I could be in 10 years from now. I wish I get to be like this
What you got to
because
do is
by
just give
ten
up
years,
the. You just got to give up the hair and just you got to go full like full cue ball, like full Krillin they call it.
yeah. At that point, I got it because my hair is already it's already faded. It's going down. It's going
Like
down for real.
like it's locked in the submission. It's gonna tap out soon. So like you just gotta like we
Yeah.
call
Anyway,
in the wrestling fan business we call it losing the Iron Man match with your hairline.
all right.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, Shido's A tier. Moving on. I've
Uh-oh.
sort of
Sure.
over rambled about him. Okay, the principal F tier. He's not compelling. I never
Yeah.
enjoy him on screen. All of his scenes are pointless.
Nobody
No one
cares.
cares. Like, nobody fucking cares. Okay, he's not. The bit where he gets hit by a truck is cool and quite surprising, but like,
Yeah.
one good scene, it's just not.
No.
He's just
Whatever.
there.
He feels pointless, if that makes sense. Like, there's so many cutaways to him. Like, it's the same issue I have with the SIU director. There's so many fucking cutaways to him to give exposition. It's just like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, in fact, I'm just skipping all the teachers and now also putting the
Yep.
FIU director along with him as well because I
Exposition,
I
man.
also don't care.
Like, Kobayakawa was bad enough, but it's mostly a case of I don't care. I hate the SIU director. Oh my god, stop giving me exposition.
Yeah, I just don't care.
Just the way it
I
cuts to
couldn't
him
care
for
less.
constant exposition. Is he the only character that appears on screen alone? I think he might be. He literally just talks to the audience, and it's just so boring. So all the teachers, no one cares. I'm gonna make it like a who the fuck are you tier for characters
I'm
that
just gonna skip past it.
but because I want to have the bottom clear by the end.
Sure.
Like these are for characters that are on the tier list for almost no reason. Like, come on, like no one cares. Like all the teachers and a few of these random confidant characters we'll get to. Like Some of the teachers I get funny jokes out of, like the one with the smug ass look that's first because like he is Edgeworth teacher. Of course, all you uncultured fuckers haven't fucking played Ace Attorney, so the joke doesn't land. But like
I know,
have.
I know who Edgeworth is.
Edgeworth teacher. It's so funny because like I just do the Edgeworth voice whenever I'm playing, whenever he's on screen. Then the other teachers are just like, no one cares. The chalk thing is funny though. Like the fact that you have an in-game stat check to dodge the chalk throw, that's funny. Okay,
Oh,
Shiho.
anyways.
I like Shiho. She's cute. I wish she was in the game more.
Yeah.
Like I get when people say, but like, what would you really do with her confidant? But like, it's not like Arn's confidant even focuses on her that much, and also she's just nice, you know. Like,
Just have her being as confident, like that would
yeah,
be
like
plenty.
even if she was just in Arn's confidant, just put her on the map. Like, have her be interactable with, like.
Yeah.
Or like even just like you can take on for hangouts that aren't part of her confidant, and you can already do that, right? Like where you can take all the characters out to different places. Just have it so you can just like Shiho will just be with you sometimes. It's also interesting to point out Shiho is the first person to be nice to Ren in the whole game, except for Ryuji. Like just that bit where you just bump into her on the way out, and she's just like, oh, don't let it get to you, and it's nice.
She
Yeah.
is great.
She's another one of those just enjoyable presences, even though she's in so little of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think the meme that most exemplifies how I wish she was like how I wish she was in the game. Like you know that I mean, aren't you tired of being nice? Don't you want to just go ape shit? Like I wish she had a moment like that.
Yeah.
Like don't
Yeah.
you want to just go ape shit? Like I said, I like her. Like
She's great.
again, even if she was just like I don't know, give her something to sell, like make her like a vendor, so you can just interact with her. If I get a part-time job at the flower shop, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's
To me,
annoying
she's
that she
that.
moves away at the end, like at the end of Arn's
Yeah.
Confidant. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
like that's dumb. But
I
yeah,
mean, it's
overall,
like in terms of a life decision, it makes sense.
it
But
makes
in
sense.
terms
But
of a
like from a
game,
story
it's kind of
standpoint,
a shame.
yeah. So like, I'm not sure if I can consciously rank her in like A tier, but like I kind of want to.
I mean,
A or B.
I want to say A.
If everyone's happy with A,
A
I'm
or
more than
B.
willing to. But like, it's one of those things. Like, yeah,
Sure.
She's only
Why
there
not?
for a bit, but it's a really good bit.
yeah, okay. So we'll rank her in A tier.
Yeah. And let's not forget, she's hot, so she gets also extra points there.
That's it. I do want to point
I
out if she
mean,
was a confidant, then her arcana would be strength. It makes perfect sense. Just the twins' confidant doesn't even need to be a confidant. Just like yeah, they did requests just fine in P3 without a confidant. Just like delete the twins' confidant, but like keep it in the game, make it not a confidant, and then Shiho could easily be a confidant.
Or tower. She
Tower
could be tower.
too, but she does fit strength more. Like I've actually sat down and read over it, like because I was doing it as a project. But yeah, I mean, I
Okay,
personally think uh,
we'll get so sidetracked.
yeah. So anyway, we put her in A tier. Moving on. Okay, Haru, stupid
Yeah.
betrothed, F tier, don't care. Moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
The bowl cut guy,
Ah.
he's another who the fuck are you guy. Like, I get his role in the game is interesting, and him having a sprite is funny, but he shouldn't be on this tier list. You don't care.
Yeah, I already skip past a bunch of these.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same with Mika. Even though Wakaba's next, I'm gonna do the same with Mika because like, no one cares. She's not a character. I would also like to point out though she does hold the
She's kinda
unique
hot.
distinction. I mean, yeah, sure, but like, she does hold the unique distinction of being the only character in a game with a portrait but no voice actress. Because confidants aren't voiced and she only shows up in the confidant, she has no voice. So for all we know, she could actually sound like this.
that'd be nice.
No, but anyway, Wakaba.
We know very little about her.
Well, we do get to meet her in Royal, even if only kind of. Like,
Yeah.
but we do get to interact with her on screen, so I think ranking her is fair.
I mean, I think like B is fair, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean she's nice and she's certainly
yeah,
attractive. Like, I'll be the first to say that. Holy shit!
Yeah.
But like, she's a fun character. I get why we don't get more of her, but like, she's good.
I mean,
I
yeah,
would
the whole
like
point is that we don't get much of her.
I would like a
really.
comic or something that that takes place back when she was alive and Sodra still worked for the government. I think that would have been interesting.
yeah.
Like, just a comic of just the two of them on like government spy adventures investigating Shido's bullshit. Put Shido in
Why
it, but
not?
back when he had hair. Just for that cursed image.
Damn.
I think that'll be funny.
Well, yeah.
No, but yeah, so she's like a B tier
Well,
character. Like, there's nothing wrong with her, but you can't consciously put her in A tier. She has one scene. Okay, Maruki. There's another interesting one.
Oh,
I
boy.
like him.
I like him, but like,
I like
I
too,
like him.
but where does he go?
I'd probably go for B again.
B. Wow, that's harsher than I expected. I love him, but also it's just like, no, I just
I,
like him. Honestly, like I don't really.
yeah, I'm thinking A.
A.
I'm
I
happy
do
with an
like.
A.
He's really compelling. His arc.
S.
See, like I see the argument for S, and maybe on some days. Because
Maybe.
like I said during Sumire's section, he's so elegantly put into the game,
Yeah.
and he's just
I
he's another character I just enjoy hanging around with. Like, his confidant is so much fun
yeah.
because he's just
I
enjoyable.
just don't. Yeah, I just don't feel as strongly about him to like push for S. But he's a very strong character. Yeah.
I mean, he's also like the one time Persona has tried a sympathetic villain and it's actually worked and not felt really forced.
Yeah.
Like, normally when Persona does like a villain who's sympathetic or even like you're meant to kind of think about, it feels really pushed and forced. Whereas with him, it feels completely natural. And I do like how the game the game doesn't try and make you think maybe he was right. Like, the game objectively refutes him, but still lets you make the choice at the end. Because, like, again, normally when games like this try and do a sympathetic villain, they make you go, well, maybe they had a point. Whereas with him, they're like, no, he doesn't have a point at all. And he realizes that at the end.
Yeah, he doesn't have a point, but you can totally understand thinking that way.
Yeah, like, he has ideas that are reasonable, but he is wrong, and the game says as much, and he realizes this at the end, which makes it even funnier when people try and claim that he was right. Like, even he disagrees with you. No, but
It's
honestly,
just the classic decision.
I could say he's S tier
It's
for
just
me. Like,
it's just the classic decision. Like, would you take the red pill or blue pill in Matrix? It's just the classic one.
yeah,
But yeah.
but like, there is a lot of subtle horror that to his like perfect world that only hit me recently because my mum and my sister were watching Wonder Woman 83, which is overall a terrible movie. But like that bit when everyone is getting their wishes granted, like, obviously you get like the pie in the sky ones. Like, I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but like you get on the pie in the sky ones where like the lady turns into like a Catwoman, and like people become like God Emperor of their own mental universe and blah 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 blah. But you also get like this guy who's arguing with this lady at the deli and just goes like, "I wish all you fuckers were just dead," and then he just drops dead. Like, shit like that, and that sort of made me reconsider how terrifying Maruki's world theoretically is. Because it makes you question, is he consciously granting all these wishes, or is it kind of just happening on autopilot?
Yes.
Well, that's the thing, you can tell he's consciously granting some of them, but, like, is he granting all of them? Because, obviously they're all being granted, but, like, is he looking over every single one of them? Because I could believe that, but maybe he's not.
Who knows?
And obviously it raises the whole point about there can only be one best artist in the world. There can only be one #1 TikToker in the world. And, like, there can only be one most famous actor ever.
And there'll obviously be conflicting ones. Like if
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
dreams for your death, but you dream for
Of
something
not
else.
being dead. Yeah, exactly.
Not
So
being dead.
is it a first come first serve basis, or like it's
I mean,
clear in some case it depends on who he likes more. Like
I mean,
like
to be fair,
this is demonstrated in the game with people he likes, like people he knows. I mean, like obviously
Yeah.
Joker and Akechi's conflicting wishes, and Joker gets his, and Akechi doesn't. So like,
yeah, although to be fair, it's mostly the focus itself is mostly on repairing pain, insecurity, and trauma. So like those are the ones that get priority. But yeah,
yeah, very much. So like, it's clear like with people he's aware of and are close to him, he's looking over it and going, "Oh, this is like, you know, we'll do this, this, and this." But like, obviously, Azathoth itself, we know it thinks. We know it's got its own thing going on. So is he just kind of
Yeah.
pushed over the? He's got like this stack of papers representing wishes. He just pushes it over to Azathoth's desk. It's like, you deal with those, okay? And Azathoth's just not reading them, just like, yep, 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 stamping their fuckers. It's like, oh, yep,
but
you want all Americans to die, got it. Oh, you want all the people in that country to die. Oh, you want this island to stop existing. Yep, whatever. Not reading them. No, but anyway, this was
uh,
just a little bit of warbling about Maraki as well. Like, have you ever seen the you know the picture of the bad ending where everyone's at LeBlanc and like smiling, and the bit where Joker and Akechi
Yeah.
are looking at the camera? I love
Yeah.
that picture.
mhm.
Because if you've ever seen that picture, what you have to understand is, unlike the other picture from the bad ending, where like Maraki is the one taking the picture, this picture in LeBlanc, there is no camera. Like, this isn't a real picture in universe. It's just for your benefit. Like, it's a freeze frame, which makes you question who
Mhm.
Joker and Akechi are looking at. Just a nice little touch.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah, but
looking at you. They're like, "Bitch,
Yeah.
what have you just done?"
We know what you did, bitch.
Yeah.
It's just
but
like,
just gotta say let's finish up the last shoe before it gets too long.
yeah, because like we're starting to run. Okay, so Sumire's dad.
Yeah.
It's just the who are you though. No one cares. Kasumi, I like as in the dead one that's also on here. I do think it's fair to rank her because if we assume reasonably that Sumire's impersonation of her was accurate,
Yeah.
and from what we see of her in the flashbacks, it sure seems like it. So like,
Uh,
I think it's reasonable to
although
rank her, and like she's nice, just like Wakaba. I think I'm gonna put her in the B tier.
I'm gonna put her along with her sisters, to be honest. Just leave it the two of them.
Hmm. Well, like I said, if I was ranking Sumire solely on personality, she'd be much higher, but she's only C tier because I was annoyed about her implementation. Oh, it just
I
occurred to me
guess.
then. Here's an actual bit of interesting information about a bit of interesting evidence that Maruki's wishes do like overlap each other, because he decided like his interpretation of Sumire's wish is that not only does she want is that she doesn't want her sister to be back to life, she wants to be her. But obviously, their father wishes that his other daughter was still alive, but she isn't. So it's so
Yeah.
clearly, to some extent, some wishes override others. That just
I
occurred
mean,
to
to
me
be
in that
fair,
moment.
by making Sumire into Kasumi, she kind of is alive,
No, but the
just
point
at
is,
the expense of the other one.
he probably wants both of his daughters to be alive.
Yeah,
So clearly, some wishes do supersede others. That only occurred to me then, so I just thought I'd point it out.
But yeah,
Okay,
let's
Sumire's coach. No one cares. Um,
she's
shall
hot.
we?
Maruki's. I mean, she's hot, sure, but like Maruki's friend and Maruki's girlfriend. Maruki's friend is fun when he's on screen. Like, those are very good interactions. I really like them, but still, like, who cares?
To be honest, I skipped straight to Sophia at this point.
Oh well, we got to talk about Jose first, but like,
I I know nothing about him. So
oh, he's so good. He's another Royal exclusive. Like, it's just this fucking
What
hilarious
is
little.
he?
In my opinion, he's got something to do with Philemon, but that's an entirely separate conversation. Oh, most of you probably haven't got any idea who that is. Shit.
no. Just
Little
just
crash
put
course.
him where you.
No, hold on. I'm going to explain this. Little crash course in Persona 2. Philemon is the guy who made Igor and like created the Velvet Room.
Oh, okay. I heard of him now.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's the guy with the butterfly mask on his face. He's also the
Yeah,
blue
yeah,
butterfly in P3 and P4. So you know the bit where
yeah,
Igus talked to the butterfly? Yeah, that's him.
yeah, yeah.
So like he is like capital G God. Everything that happens because of him. No exceptions.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, anyway, so like in my opinion, he's got something to do with him, which explains why he has yellow eyes, like the persona, like the Velvet Room attendants, but isn't related to the Velvet Room. And also, I find it interesting that he's investigating how mementos affect cognition, which would certainly be of interest to a certain other Velvet Room assistant that's not part of it anymore. Anyway, that's all fan theories, though. He's funny. I like him. He's fun to have on screen. He's like B tier because like he's not really that relevant. But one, his boss fight is hilarious because he attacks you with fireworks in a kid's car. But like, he's just fun. He's another character that I could just sit down with and interact with for a few hours. So we're going to skip all the Tactica characters because I haven't played it yet, and just talk about Sophia and Zenkichi, and also Alice apparently, who is on here.
Wanna
Hey.
put Alice somewhere real quick?
Huh?
Wanna rank Alice real quick and just leave the two?
Yeah, so Alice, she's a fine...
Something really hot.
Oh yeah, she's a
Yeah,
fine villain. I prefer her normal design to her shadow design, hot take.
they're about even.
Her aesthetic is
Yeah.
fun, and she works as a first villain for Strikers.
Yeah.
And like the whole first scene with her, like I remember when I played Strikers for the first time because obviously I played it on my Switch, so I was taking pictures the whole time. I just took a picture like at the rally that she does. I just took a picture like, what is that thing?
For me, she's a B.
Yeah, I could say a bit. Like she's
I-
very good for the arc she's in. Sort of like Kamoshida, she's perfect
Yeah.
introductory. Like she introduces you to the idea that the villains are going to be more sympathetic this time without being really that complicated. Like she's just a bullying victim. Her backstory isn't as complicated as like the politician lady, for example. There's like a ton of moving parts to what's going on with her.
Yeah.
Whereas with Alice, it's really simple. And also, like I said, she's menacing enough.
I really love
Yeah.
Alice. She's not like the deepest person ever, but I just find her so
Yeah.
like charismatic
She's
that
fun.
I'm like
she's just
I'm
she's
like
more
I want to put her in S tier.
No, but that's silly. But like, I do think she's a solid B tier.
Yeah, that's just a personal thing.
All right.
she's mostly just an parallel. But yeah,
Now we get to talk.
on
Now we get
to
to talk about my daughter. I love
on
her.
to the daughter.
She's so cute and lovely, and like, she's my favorite sis. Everything she says is funny
As-
and cute, and I love her.
I've
Remember what
already
we
said
did
this
together
before.
with her?
Yes. Let's not talk about that on YouTube. Okay.
Well,
Anyway,
I
conspicuous
shake my
jump
head.
cut. She's cool.
Uh, I
I love her. Like,
I always say
I love her.
as I always say, she's Ike's but better. To be honest.
yeah, very much from a character perspective. But I don't want to talk about like character or blah 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 or like her legitimately interesting arc. No, she's cute and baby, and she has done nothing wrong ever, and she is the best. Like how most people feel towards Nanako is how I feel towards Sophia. Like I like Nanako, but I'm completely
That's tier.
obsessed with Sophia. She is the best.
Yep, that's tier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Moving on.
I mean,
Yep.
and now Zenkichi. Zenkichi's probably going to end up in S tier as well because he's just such a good
Yeah.
character. Like,
Uh,
he's one of the few
I would.
times where like a game manages to hyper focus on a character without them feeling over pushed. Like Strikers is almost entirely about him for most of its runtime. Like,
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Like.
if you're thinking
he-
that game's about him, you haven't played Tactica.
I haven't.
No.
Exactly.
Hence why
The
I'm
old
just
man
gonna...
in that game is all of the focus, literally.
I have seen the meme though. If I had a nickel for every time a Persona 5 spin-off marketed itself mostly around a new female edition, but then turned out to be about an old man character, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
The girl in that game is literally his persona.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Okay,
The entire game is his palace.
Okay, thanks for spoiling that. But wow.
I thought you wouldn't play it, so
Yeah, I'm
No,
kind of
I mean, I
pissed
have
now.
it.
I'm not gonna lie.
I have it on Game Pass, but
I'm
like,
very sorry. I
Oh
kind
well.
of just assumed y'all wouldn't play it.
no, I mean
Oh
to.
well.
I just haven't got around it. But like, I will play it because I got it for free.
I don't care. Anyways, Zenkic. Zenkic is like he's just a perfect execution of a character that
Mm.
is both like is that figure uh kind of like kind of like boss, but he's also like the rival character, and he like from the very beginning he means to betray you, and he knows he needs to be his mission is to betray you, but then you go and help his family, and then he starts to realize that you guys are all family, and just everything about his storyline is just perfection. Chef Keith,
I do like how
no
I
problem.
do like how they kind of bait you with it from the beginning of the game. Like you're so waiting on that betrayal moment, and it just never comes. Like even like a "I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I have to" sort of moment, but no, it never comes.
No, he just gets so like attached to you guys that no,
I do think the even
he
more
just can do it.
interesting bait and switch is with his boss lady, who again you're waiting for like the moment where she
Yeah,
like tears off her
yeah,
face and starts cackling like the evil queen, but it never really happens. Like
true,
she's a
true.
hard ass throughout the entire game, but she never has that moment that you're kind of expecting.
Yeah,
Just sort of
yeah,
an
no.
aside. But
Well,
yeah, Zenkichi, another character
it
who's
could be fair.
perfect and has never done anything wrong. So I'm now
To
going to
be fair,
pause the
yeah.
recording and go find PNGs for some of the Strikers characters that aren't on here that I do need to put on here.
Oh,
What's up, bitches? We're back after the jump cut. And we got everyone. So, for some reason, this tier list that we got didn't have the Strikers characters on it, and now we have them again. Okay, so Budget Tagami, he sucks.
I really like him.
Well, he's an interesting
kind of mid.
concept, but he's definitely the least of the villains. Like, I like his conflict with Yusuke. I do.
Yeah, that's definitely the best part.
His conflict with Yusuke is really interesting, but he doesn't really have a conflict with Yusuke. Yusuke just has a reaction to him.
Yeah, which
So
makes Yusuke peak. Oh yeah,
yeah, and again, it's an interesting idea, like when they're going with the sympathetic villains of the guy who's like been simultaneously pushed but also pushed down in like in a personal sense. Like his whole backstory and conflict is interesting, but he's just like every game has a worse villain.
Just really
Like
enjoyed
he's
him.
C tier. Like he's going with Madarame and Okumura. I like his boss fight though. His boss fight is cool. Like
I think I'm okay with C.
okay, Mariko Hyodo, the chick that's the politician chick. I really like her. Like
I
she's really
yeah,
interesting. Like her whole backstory with Haru is absolutely like crushingly sad, and also
yeah.
really cool. Like
He makes her one of the most fleshed out villains of the game.
yeah, she's very much the one that feels the most like a real person. Like Alice to some extent. Like Alice has a believable backstory, and so does Natsume to some extent. But like she doesn't feel like a real person because she's over exaggerated as fuck. Even the bit of a shot of the real her we get is still kinda, you know. But overall she's fine. But like with Hyodo, she's so compelling. And the arc is so good for Haru as well. Like
Mhm.
she gets more focus in this arc than she did in the arc she was introduced in the main game. So sad. But yeah, so
Oh,
like
for
like
for me, she's an A.
yeah, honestly, I can settle with A. Like I really like it. God, these blotches of white, it's so distracting. Anyway, Forehead Chan, she's next. Oh, I'm proud of that joke. Akane's awesome. She's just so much
I
fun.
love Akane. She's so cool.
Like
We all do.
the bit where it shows her room, it's like, good God. Yusuke gets some great line deliveries in this game. Like just this terrifying just collection of kin. Oh, it's all just so funny. But she is a laugh riot too, and she's so compelling as a jail monarch. Like not only just the tragedy of it all, but she manages to be the most menacing despite being a literal child.
Yeah.
Like, this is a literal
And the
child,
literal
and it's the most
and the
menacing of
literal
jail monarchs, if you ask me. Like
and a literal YouTuber. So you know
yeah.
the
She's
the
literally
most
us. She's literally us sitting in a chair talking about the Phantom Thieves.
yeah
She
that's it.
is.
Literally the least intimidating the type of person that you can be. But wait,
And her like I don't have a picture of it on this list, unfortunately, for the viewers. But her we said it when we were on pause, but like her design as a shadow is so cool.
It's so
Like
cool.
and well, I do wish there was an actual boss fight with her, partially because punching children in the face is funny. Like the setup of her boss fight is cool. Like with everyone 1v1ing their respective
Shadow.
shadow. Yeah, like
Shadow
I
self.
do wish you got to play every single fight. Like you already have controllable party members. Like you could have easily done it.
yeah,
I like to imagine that Futaba and like Shadow Oracle are sitting down and having a nerd off because neither of them fight. Like I like to imagine
Yeah.
they're just like quizzing each other on fate trivia or something.
They're just in Reddit comments.
They're just sat in front of computers together, like, oh, I'm gonna roast you. No, but Akane's really cool. Like her arc
Yeah.
is really compelling. Her motivations are like really touching, and overall, she's just a great character.
Yeah.
Like,
So
and I don't think Zenkichi's arc would have been as compelling if Akane wasn't as likable as she is.
Yeah,
of course.
she's
Like,
definitely a huge benefit to him.
Like if Akane felt more like a brat in the scenes where she's acting shitty, it wouldn't have worked as well. But the fact that she's so understandable and like so pitiable makes it work.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
She's definitely a maybe B, but I
no,
think A.
for me she's definitely A. Like
I'd say A.
okay, now on to Tony Stark. I really like him. Like he's so good. It's sort of like what I said with Shido. Well, he is sympathetic, unlike Shido. Like he manages to pull off that effortless coolness.
Yeah.
Like that bit where he walks out of the destroyed mech as Counter Strike starts playing is just there's so much fucking aura in that.
Mm.
Sound like a 12-year-old.
Mm.
No, but it is just
So
it might be the coolest like start of a fight in the entire game. Like both P5 and Strikers.
yeah, that might be. I don't have a strong of a feeling about him, but like I do like how he's very much nuanced. Like not only like I mean all the villains in this game are, but like there's this one moment where he's
Yeah.
talking with Emma, where he asks her, "Are we sure there's no way that we can get by without attacking this,
Yeah.
without involving these thieves, like without hurting them?" Like, and Emma say that this is impossible and such that they have to do this. So he's like very conflicted, but he does it anyway. Like, he's the typical uh, bad person convincing himself that this is all for a greater good. But yeah, I like him, but not nothing like too crazy for me.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably just A for me, like with Shido. But like
Uh,
one thing I do think is Strikers just throws it out the park with its villains. Like even though I'm kind of whatever on Natsume and Alice is only B tier, like they don't really have
Yeah.
a Kaneshiro type. Ugh, whatever.
No,
No, I don't. For me, he's a B, but I can understand.
Yeah. And now Ichinose. When I said they don't have a Kaneshiro type, I was lying. I hate this character.
I love her.
Wow.
I
I love her.
fucking hate this character. Partially because they don't commit to it. If they committed to her being a villain, I'd love her. Like, her motivations are interesting. Her whole, like, lacking emotions type thing is cool. And she's really compelling as a villain, and then they backpedal. Like, she just decides, okay, I am a good guy now, and that's the end of it.
I mean,
Like
the whole thing
on one
was
hand, the whole idea that she's got so little emotions or attachment to anything that she can just decide to completely change her entire life philosophy on a whim is kind of funny.
Very
also,
Junko.
In a way, but I just wish they'd been like, one, you never fight her. Fuck you. Like, if you're gonna make her this fucking annoying in the end, at least let me punch her in the face for it. Like,
I don't know.
I can't stand the ending of Strikers. Give me my fucking daughter back. I swear to God. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it pisses me off real bad. But even then, like I said, there's just so much. She'd be so compelling if they just committed to her as a villain, but they don't.
yeah. I think it works. Like because the scene with Sophia convincing her, like it feels very powerful and it
I
feels
mean,
very convincing.
that is a good scene on its face. Like, I get that, but like, I also think it would have made a more compelling ending to this game. Like, a game full of sympathetic villains, where like they are pushed into the positions they're in, and it ends with someone who just isn't. Like,
I guess.
everything, like, Persona is a game and a series about change and how life affects people, whereas if you'd written Ichinose more as an actual villain, because of how her mind works, she's a fixed point in a universe of people that are always moving, and that's such a compelling way to write a villain. Like, I don't know. I just think she would have been so, like, if they had committed to what they had going for, like that scene where she's like berating Sophia and being really shitty. If they'd have stuck with that, she would have been like S tier. Like, I would have loved that. But it's the fact that they backpedal and just completely waste it in the ending.
I guess.
Like,
I
it
don't
just
know.
pisses me off. Like, again,
I don't
some
know.
of my hatred is
I-
personal because she just leaves with Sophia at the ending, but that's honestly not a lot of it. Like, she's just so wasted. And after a game that had, its worst villain was fine, and then it just ends with like, I don't know. It
Yeah.
just, especially after how much I liked, how much I liked the ending with like the bit with Mariki and Roy. I get, because you keep in mind Roy was being written at the same time as this, and I think there's a really interesting parallel there of a game full of shitheads ending with a sympathetic villain, and a game full of sympathetic villains ending with someone who's just a monster. Would have
Mhm.
been so compelling and interesting. Because, like, all throughout Strikers, you run into people going down a dark path that you're able to bring them off of, and then at the end, you come across someone who's far too far down.
Yeah.
It's just everything about it's just a way more compelling story than what we got. And again, they don't put effort into her reformation. She just decides to be good. And again, part of that is kind of terrifying in the fact that that's
Yeah.
almost believable, but also it's just not interesting. Like,
I mean,
she
I think it's less so that she decides to be good. It's more so that she has been trying so hard to bury her feelings, and then Sophia gets her to open up. I don't think she becomes good necessarily because of it, but she.
But the thing is, like, she
I
does. She
think
goes from being an absolute fucking arsehole, like, of the highest proportion. Like, that whole scene, in her quote unquote boss fight where she throws enemies at you. Like, she's just awful throughout that scene. And then one speech from Sophia later, and she's completely back to being nice and funny and quirky and helping you. Like,
I guess.
it's just, it all feels
Yeah.
so slapped together. Like, it feels like she was added in a second draft. Because like
Either way.
her entire run as a villain starts and ends in the same scene.
But yeah, I
Like,
quite
personally,
like
for
her.
me, she's E or even F tier. Like,
For me, she's B or A. Is this a way? No.
either.
Hmm?
Well, we're kind of getting
Sorry.
you guys' opinion. Is Dolly even
But
here?
you know, say
No.
no. She big on.
Right.
What?
We say I didn't
Uh,
realize Doll wasn't here. But anyway, so yeah, we're looking for your opinion based on the discussion we've just had.
what rankings are you going for? Who's
I'm
you
looking
going
for like as low as I can get away with, whereas like Luna's looking for more of a B or A sort of ranking.
I think a B's fair.
C, and we've got a deal.
C. C is
Whatever.
fine.
Okay, but let the record show that I think she should be an F. Definitely hot though, so I'll give you that.
I
She-
didn't
she-
have to use my fuck you, I like this character thing.
Well, we still have 2 entire games to go through, so
Yeah, I'll use
Yeah.
it somewhere down the line. I was originally going to use it for Sophia, but I didn't have to.
oh no, not at all.
I was gonna use it for Hifumi, but the argument for the social link itself needing some work is convincing enough. So yeah, that works.
Right, so I'm probably not going to give this a proper outro because like this is explicitly a part 1. So like what I'll probably do is, even though we're recording these on separate days, I'll probably upload them all together.
Mm.
If you say so. I think the you could definitely upload this separately. I think it would be better
Well,
for
we'll
the
see about that.
channel.
Let's not discuss the upload schedule on recording, but yeah. So look out for part 2. We'll talk about P4, and then P3 will be the final part. Yeah,
I need to sleep.
yeah, very much. So yeah, and yeah, like I haven't played Tactica. So have you both played Tactica or not?
I've started it.
Okay, because I was going to say, if you both play Tactica, just throw your rankings at me and I'll just put them there. But like, if only one of you's played it, it doesn't really.
No idea. Uh, no.
I've beaten like the first powers equivalent.
Yeah, I haven't even started. Anyway, so
Okay.
yeah, see you guys all in part 2.